It's an entrance exam at a school for superhumans. Here, the most talented students are presented with magical spheres that determine the rank of their abilities. While other students get a rare blue glow, and some even get an ultra-rare purple one, our MC isn't so lucky. When Ming touches the magic sphere, it lights up with a faint white light. This means his luck-related skills are at the lowest rank, and he is considered a useless piece of trash. Of course, everyone starts laughing at him as a loser, and advises him to give up all hope of becoming a superhuman, and just go work at a factory. Even his girlfriend is disappointed in him. Upset by his cruel fate, he decides to go for a ride on his motorcycle, and as he speeds down the road, Truck Kun almost takes care of all his problems for the day. But Ming dodges it with his luck skills and drives on, cursing his useless superpowers that can only help him in situations like that. At that moment, a meteor appears in the sky above him. Looking at it, Ming he is sure the Earth is huge, and the meteor would never hit him with his high luck. But oh boy, he is wrong. It hits him precisely, doing all the work Truck Kun missed. After being struck, our boy lies unconscious on the ground, and a blue glowing bubble enters his body. Suddenly, a system appears, running calculations on his condition. The system master observes that her host lacks fighting abilities, so she bestows extraordinary powers upon him, granting Ming a red honor rank. Later, he is found unconscious in a hospital. The doctor mentions that he could remain in a coma for a long time, and a blonde nurse volunteers to care for him. A few days later, the campus queen arrives with a bouquet. After a month, the bullies return to mock our hero. The blonde-haired guy opens an envelope from the bouquet and discovers that Luo Qian has replied to Ming's confession. In frustration, he tears the letter apart. A year passes, and disaster mutants begin to appear in the southern suburbs. When the alarm sounds, all the doctors evacuate, but the blonde nurse rushes toward Ming He. Upon reaching him, she is seized by a monster. Fortunately, our protagonist wakes up instantly and defeats the creature with a single punch. After witnessing everything, the nurse breaks down in tears. Ming He gently reassures her, expressing his gratitude for all the care she's given him. She thanks our boy in return before he asks about the current situation. Nurse Song explains that pollution entered the sewers, causing the parasites to mutate. She adds that everyone else must have already been evacuated. Ming notes that she chose not to abandon him, but she insists it was simply her responsibility as a nurse. Curious about how he managed to defeat the monster, she asks. But our protagonist just shrugs and claims he practiced in his head. Deciding to move forward, Ming clears the hallway of monsters with his fists. When a monster approaches, the nurse screams, prompting him to use his sulfuric acid fist to take it down. She wonders if this power is his extraordinary ability, but our hero mentions that he actually failed the entrance exam a year ago. She jokes that perhaps the teacher was short-sighted. Afterward, Ming He asks for more sulfuric acid. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a bridge is destroyed by mutated cockroaches advancing toward a bus full of passengers. Fortunately, a stellar rank extraordinaire arrives and begins shooting at the monsters, but is sadly taken down by a mutated rat. The bus teeters on the edge, about to fall after the mutated rat's attack. At the same time, Ming and Nurse Song have made it out of the hospital. The nurse spots the bus in the distance, realizing it carries people from the hospital. Our boy listens to a report about mutated magic rats and learns that authorities are seeking help from any unregistered extraordinaire. He asks for more details, mentioning that he's just a high schooler who failed the admission test. The reporter advises him to evacuate, but Ming He remains determined to save the medical staff. The passengers scream as the mutated rat prepares to hurl their bus. Ming He and Nurse Song witness the chaos from behind. He instructs the nurse to hide while he confronts the mutated rat, but she worries about his safety. To reassure her, our protagonist reminds her that a nurse can't abandon her patient. He leaps forward, landing a punch on the mutated rat, wanting to test his new powers. However, our hero realizes that one swipe from its claws could be fatal. The rat launches a relentless attack, but Ming dodges every strike. Ming He counters with a series of punches. Just as he prepares to finish the fight, the rat's eyes snap open, and it begins crushing cars in a frenzy, hurling one toward him. This makes our boy realize that brute force alone won't be enough. Suddenly, he notices petrol leaking from the wrecked cars. The rat keeps launching vehicles at Ming, but he skillfully avoids each one. Eventually, the mutated creature grows exhausted and stands still. Seizing the opportunity, Ming steps forward with a lighter and tosses it onto the ground. Meanwhile, Nurse Song runs to the bus and checks on the passengers. The doctor steps out, squinting in surprise, and wonders if the person who saved them is truly wearing a hospital gown. Suddenly, an explosion erupts, and the mutated rat squeals in agony. Ming recalls from the report that the creature's weakness is fire. Using the flames from the explosion, he channels a flaming flames fist, finally taking down the mutated monster. One of the medical staff wonders if he might be a highly skilled extraordinaire, and a nurse speculates that he's the same patient who was recently in a coma. Nurse Song confirms his identity, telling them he's Ming He, the student who wasn't accepted by the Extraordinaire Academy. Elsewhere at the command post, a blonde-haired girl warns Luo Qian not to approach the general rank monster, as it's already been dealt with. Luo Qian relaxes and asks who is responsible, but the blonde-haired girl admits she doesn't know, suggesting it must have been an unregistered extraordinaire. Changing the subject, she inquires about the source of the pollution. Luo Qian doesn't respond, expecting more mutated monsters and recommending a citywide evacuation for the south. At the rescue station, Nurse Song tends to Ming He's wounds and thanks him for saving everyone. Suddenly, a girl with long hair appears, pleading with a stationed guard to let her in to see her brother, who remains in a coma. The guard informs her that only fleet personnel and extraordinaires are permitted entry during the lockdown. The girl, distraught, insists that her brother is weak and hasn't woken up for some time. She mentions his name, Ming He, and wonders aloud if he's going to die. After wiping her tears, she turns to the unconscious figure and declares that if her brother is going to die, she will die with him. Ming, hearing this, is left completely shocked. After finding Ming his sister embraces him tightly, overwhelmed with happiness to see him awake. He thinks back over the past year, remembering how his sister would visit and explain that she couldn't come more often because she was working nights as well. Ming recognizes her sacrifices and is deeply grateful for her dedication. The next morning, our protagonist wakes up in his sister's apartment and finds a note from her. She encourages him to rest, mentioning that she's gone to work to help cover the hospital bills. Our boy recalls that his sister juggles 3 different jobs, leaving her more exhausted than some patients. Determined to help, he decides it's time for him to start earning money. While watching TV, Ming hears a report about the government offering a 500,000 reward for information on the source of the pollution. The news also notes a 3,000 reward for each mutant cockroach eliminated and 50,000 for every mutated rat taken down. Our hero realizes this could ease his sister's burden and might even allow them to move to a better place. He starts to wonder where the pollution source could be and resolves to investigate. Even if he doesn't succeed, he figures he can still hunt monsters to earn money, gain experience, and train his abilities. So Ming heads to the reward hall, introduces himself as an extraordinaire, and says he wants to hunt mutated cockroaches, asking if there are any specific requirements. The receptionist assures him that as long as he has basic extraordinaire skills, he can participate. After a quick assessment of his abilities, they'll issue him a novice extraordinaire badge. To reach a stellar ranking, though, he'll need to pass more challenging tests. Ming agrees, and the receptionist leads him to the training arena. She points out a dummy designed to measure strength and instructs him to hit it with everything he's got. Our protagonist wonders what score he needs to pass, then lands a powerful punch on the dummy, which cracks under the force. The result, 1,000 kilos. People nearby gasp in shock, realizing he shattered the previous record. The receptionist informs Ming that the old record was 800 kilos. Back at the front desk, our hero is awarded a $1,000 gift card for breaking the record. Curious, he asks about the official rankings. She explains there are 4, with Celestial being the highest. Inspired, Ming decides to keep increasing his strength until others can't help but admire him. Later, in the waiting area, Ming wonders if everyone present is waiting for their teammates. He hadn't expected so many people to be interested in the bounty. A chubby guy approaches and asks if our protagonist would like to join their team. Introducing himself as Luo Kai Xuan, he explains the importance of teaming up before entering dangerous areas, adding that the government restricts extraordinaires below the solar rank from participating alone. Luo then asks Ming about his rank, and upon hearing that he's only a novice stellar ranker, Luo remarks that their team isn't interested in newbies. He suggests Ming go back and train more, leaving our boy to question whether his rank is really that low. Unexpectedly, a former classmate with short hair recognizes him and points him out to her teammates. Her blue-haired companion laughs mockingly about Ming just being rejected by another team, while the short-haired girl stands up and calls our hero over. She mentions hearing from others that he was in a coma. Ming shrugs it off, explaining he's just here to hunt monsters and cover his hospital bills. The blue-haired boy, Xuejung, sneers and asks how Ming plans to hunt, claiming he's doomed. Lin Yu, the short-haired girl, expresses concern and urges him not to take unnecessary risks. Zhu mocks Ming's luck ability, but Lin offers him a spot in her party. Our protagonist suspects his former classmates have grown much stronger after a year at the academy, and imagines they see him as weak and timid. Lu Xinghong, the tall guy, suggests that maybe Ming's luck ability could help the whole team. The group ultimately agrees to let him join, though Shui remains reluctant. As they make their way into the quarantined area, Lin explains that they've been training at Wudu Academy, which requires students to participate in an annual social event, hence their presence here. When Ming asks about Luo Qian, Lin shares that she's grown much stronger and is currently in Lanyang City investigating the source of the pollution. Lin then asks for his thoughts on the pollution. He ridicules Ming's liberal arts background, saying it didn't help him pass the exam and that students like themselves have found nothing about the pollution source. Meanwhile, our hero considers the 3 mutated parasites, cockroaches, maggots, and rats, all residents of the sewers. He hypothesizes that the pollution might be some kind of fluid that's entered the southern city's sewage system. Although he's unsure what a mutated maggot looks like, Ming assumes it must be weaker than a mutated cockroach. Before long, he spots a swarm of mutated maggots emerging. As the maggots approach, both Ming and Lin dash away, with our boy regretting that he overlooked the fact that maggots live in colonies. Reaching the other team members, Ming quickly informs them about the situation. As the swarm of mutated maggots closes in, Shui and the others rush toward a nearby building with reinforced glass for protection. Ming suddenly notices that Lin has fallen behind, and without hesitation, he turns back for her. Ignoring her protests, our protagonist charges at the advancing maggots, smashes open a fire hydrant, and unleashes his explosive wave fists, scattering the creatures across the ground. Lin, amazed by his new strength, looks at him with admiration, even though she's well aware that his heart belongs to Luo Qian. Afterward, our hero and Lin make it safely to the building, reuniting with the rest of their team. The others fuss over Lin's condition, but Ming focuses on her safety, insisting she bandage her wounds before the maggot saliva can cause any harm. He then volunteers to check the building for more threats before additional creatures arrive. Wang Xiaodan, the teammate with a ponytail, scolds the group for not inspecting the building themselves, pointing out that Ming has clearly surpassed their expectations. Consulting the map, our boy heads into the laboratory area and examines the various specimen cages. Before long, he notices the glass wall of Eco Cage 9 has been broken for quite some time. Apparently, the specimen from that cage disappeared half a year ago. This discovery leads Ming to wonder if the mutation source could be affecting farm-raised insects, since only sewer insects have mutated so far. As he continues searching, our protagonist steps on an ID card for specimen number 9, which reveals the escaped creature is a giant centipede with human-like facial features and powerful predatory mandibles. Ming arrives at the back door of the building, only to find it locked. Reasoning that the maggots won't be able to get inside, since there are few exits and the sewer is fully sealed, he takes a moment to observe the area. During his watch, our protagonist spots Dr. Zhao heading toward a rundown building. At that moment, his phone rings. It's Nurse Song, inviting him to dinner and asking him to call her Sister Song or Sister Lan from now on. Ming agrees and mentions he's currently in the quarantine zone. She scolds him, clearly worried, and reminds our boy that the mutated creatures there are even more dangerous than those they've faced before. He reassures her, explaining that he wants to ease his sister's burden by earning bounty money. Curious, Sister Song asks if Tai Yu is his biological sister. Our hero replies that she isn't, but they grew up together in an orphanage and are closer than real siblings. The nurse wistfully admits she wishes she had a younger brother like him, and while she's showering, she feels a pang of regret about getting dressed up for him. Ming brings up that he saw Dr. Zhao in the quarantine zone, but couldn't get a clear look through the glass door. Sister Lan reveals the doctor has been acting strangely, making mistakes in surgery, leaving work early, and staying up all night. Ming-He learns that Zhao accidentally lost Scourge's blood while trying to purify it. He quickly asks when the sample went missing, and she tells him it's been almost a year, the very day he was hospitalized. Instantly, our boy suspects the pollution began when the blood sample was lost, and that insects infected a year ago have now mutated. Nurse Song is skeptical, but Ming insists Zhao must have lied about losing the sample after purification. He deduces that the doctor is searching for it in the quarantine area, which is extremely risky given how mutated the creatures there must be. He urges her to contact the government about the situation, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Ming decides to go after Dr. Zhao himself. After rejoining his teammates and assuring them the building is secure, our protagonist announces that he's heading back out. Lin tries to stop him, but he leaves anyway. Outside, he notices dead maggots. They aren't moving for now. He makes his way down a dark alley, where a group of mutated cockroaches appears. After dispatching them swiftly, Ming-He continues on and eventually spots Dr. Zhao entering a dilapidated building. Inside the building, Ming-He spots a large hole in the floor with a rope ladder dangling from its edge. Without hesitation, our protagonist descends into the darkness below. In the basement, he sees Dr. Zhao moving toward the Lanyang water supply. As the doctor climbs up, Ming confronts him, demanding answers about his actions and bringing up the blood sample that went missing a year ago. Caught off guard, Dr. Zhao asks how Ming discovered the truth, but soon admits his mistake with visible regret. He confesses that his error triggered the mutation, and explains that he's there to check if this area has been affected as well, hoping to atone for his actions. Our hero urges him to leave the matter to the authorities, but the doctor refuses. Desperate, Zhao begs Ming for help, terrified that if the officials learn the truth, he'll end up in jail. Ming tries to reason with him, pointing out that Zhao is just a surgeon and that pressing on could put his life at risk. The doctor seems to relent, and Ming suggests he go back. Suddenly, Zhao's demeanor shifts. He smirks and asks if Ming has told anyone else about what happened. Ming-He admits he has, and again advises reporting everything to the authorities. That's when the doctor finally confesses. He didn't lose the blood sample by accident. Realizing the gravity of the situation, our boy demands a full explanation. Dr. Zhao asks if the infestation of cockroaches, maggots, and rats makes Ming want to wipe them out. Ming agrees. Zhao then reflects on the disasters humans have caused around the world, and questions what truly separates people from parasites. Ming insists that humanity should be protecting the environment instead. Dr. Zhao's face darkens as he presses his point. For the universe to be peaceful and beautiful, it should be devoid of life. He compares humans to cancer cells, creatures that multiply endlessly, pollute their world, and even dream of spreading that destruction to other planets. He argues that as long as humanity exists, no world can ever regain its original purity. Our protagonist struggles to grasp his twisted reasoning, so Zhao poses a question. If your body falls ill, doesn't your immune system kill the invading bacteria? Ming nods. The doctor continues, explaining that if the universe itself became sick, it would produce something to wipe out humanity, just as the immune system targets disease. He reveals that the scourges, disasters, and falling meteors Ming has witnessed are actually the universe's immune response, acting with its own will to eliminate humankind entirely. Ming-He insists that Dr. Zhao's views are beyond reason, and reminds him that his own mistakes caused the pollution and mutations, resulting in countless deaths. The doctor simply laughs, claiming that just as he treats people when they're sick, he'll treat the universe by destroying humans, whom he considers even worse than parasites. He finally confesses to being the creator of the mutation, and announces his plan to wipe out everyone in Lanyang City before moving on to bigger targets. To continue his plan, he resolves to eliminate any obstacles, starting with our protagonist. Ming points out that the area is already quarantined, so the pollution shouldn't be able to spread further. However, Dr. Zhao reveals his true scheme. He intends to use the water pipes to distribute the contamination. Since people will keep using tap water, the infection will pass into the city's underground systems and eventually reach the entire population. Feigning ignorance, our boy places a hand on the doctor's shoulder and pretends to agree, claiming he'll leave and let him continue his work. Zhao, still wary, asks if Ming has no desire to play the hero and save the city. Ming shrugs off the idea, calling himself trash who failed the admission test a year ago. But when Zhao checks his coat, he discovers the vial of scourge blood is missing. Our hero has stolen it. Suddenly, the doctor's body contorts, transforming into a massive muscular beast. Ming realizes Zhao must have experimented on himself, using the scourge blood to mutate his own form. The doctor unleashes a swarm of twisted parasites, but Ming manages to grab the rope ladder. One of the creatures, however, slices through it, and he quickly realizes their goal is to prevent his escape. Thinking on his feet, our protagonist uses the bodies of the mutant parasites as stepping stones, leaping upward to reach the first floor. Drawing on his mysterious fists, Elemental extraction technique. Ming seals the hole behind him, trapping the doctor in the basement. Down below, Dr. Zhao remains undeterred. He claims he can still smell the blood of the beast and is confident that Ming he won't escape him for long. Ming dashes through the streets, fully aware that the power of mutated monsters depends on their original strength before mutation. He realizes that even the large mutated rats are far too strong for him to handle and grows deeply worried about facing a fully grown mutated human like Dr. Zhao. Knowing the danger, our protagonist makes a strategic decision, not to run toward his teammates, fearing that if Zhao catches up, they'll all be killed. Instead, he decides to leave the matter in Nurse Song's hands and wait for the authorities to intervene. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Luo Kai's team has successfully cleared their area of threats. As the members chat about their rewards and speculate whether any powerful monsters remain, Dr. Zhao suddenly emerges from a manhole. Confident, Liao Xiao steps forward, declaring that he'll take the creature down and then get some rest. Luo Kai, observing the doctor's massive mutated form, guesses that defeating such a beast would yield an enormous bounty. Without warning, Liao Xiao launches his attack, but Zhao kills him instantly, remarking that the best way to recover is by killing everyone in his path. When another teammate bravely charges forward to protect her friends, the doctor dispatches her just as quickly. Luo Kai and one remaining companion stand frozen in horror as their teammates lie dead around them. Dr. Zhao spares the two, claiming he's in a hurry, and summons the mutated lymphomas to help locate our hero. Luo Kai and his companion are left in tears, mourning their fallen friends and calling themselves lucky to have survived Dr. Zhao's rampage. Meanwhile, our protagonist sprints through the streets with the mutated lymphomas hot on his trail. He quickly realizes they're tracking him by scent, and feels a flicker of relief that Zhao himself isn't as fast as these twisted rat beasts. Determined to keep the blood sample out of enemy hands, Ming keeps running until he spots a gas station. Thinking fast, he douses himself in petrol to mask his scent, then slips into a nearby supermarket. The three beasts chasing him lose his trail and bolt off in the wrong direction. However, one with an especially sharp sense of smell manages to pick up his location and breaks away from the group to hunt him down. Ming knows that if he lets this creature live, it will track him anywhere, so he decides he must end it here and now. Our hero reminds himself that his mystical punch technique needs contact with a special medium to unleash its full potential, but since the supermarket doesn't have what he needs, he has no choice but to rely solely on brute strength. Bracing himself, he charges forward and lands a crushing punch on the mutated beast. Although it's knocked down, the creature quickly recovers and leaps back at him. Drawing on every ounce of skill and determination, Ming overpowers it and finishes it off with a devastating blow. Elsewhere, Dr. Zhao senses a change in his body and instantly realizes that one of his pets has been killed. He rushes to the scene, finds the slain creature, and orders the remaining beasts to devour its corpse so they can heighten their sensitivity to scent. Once the mutated monsters evolve, Zhao commands them to track down our boy and bring him back alive. Ming has finally managed to put some distance between himself and the strong-scented sense demons, shaking them off at last. But just as he catches his breath, three powerful monsters appear behind him, their growls deeper and far more menacing. As he considers his options, our protagonist spots an amusement park ahead, the perfect battleground for his next move. Right now, he needs something he can use as a conduit for his mysterious fist technique, which he knows will greatly enhance his strength. Before preparing for the fight, our hero quickly washes the gasoline off his body. He knows that if he runs into any source of fire, his own body could ignite before he even launches his blazing punch. Although he's tempted to keep moving, knowing the monsters will track him down eventually, he decides to buy some time. Once all the lymphoma demons are inside the park, he plans to wipe them out, though Dr. Zhao's unpredictable behavior still lingers uneasily in his thoughts. Suddenly, the lymphoma demons burst into view and attack. The lead beast has grown even larger and stronger, but Ming dodges its repeated blows with ease. Its sheer bulk has slowed it down, giving our boy the upper hand. As he taunts the creature to chase him, two more beasts appear out of nowhere. Realizing he's outnumbered, he bolts up the roller coaster track, hoping the high ground will give him an advantage and allow him to take down all three at once. The monsters pursue him relentlessly. When Ming reaches the top, he channels his focus and uses the metal track as a medium for his elemental extraction technique. Summoning every ounce of power, he punches the first beast, blasting a massive hole through its body and sending it crashing to the ground. In that moment, he realizes that after absorbing the metal, his fists have become strong enough to slay what appear to be warlord-rank demons. Still perched atop the track, Ming watches as one beast climbs toward him from above, while another circles around from below. Confident in his newfound strength, our hero prepares to strike before the one behind can close in. He lands a solid punch on the creature in front of him, aiming for its chest, but to his shock, the blow barely dents its thick bone-like armor. Ming can hardly believe how quickly these monsters are evolving. Ming battles the mutated beasts atop the roller coaster track, astonished by how rapidly they continue to evolve. Just as he's about to finish one off, it suddenly sprouts sharp bone spikes from its neck, making our protagonist mentally curse at how absurdly tough these monsters have become. The two creatures attack in a frenzy, but Ming dodges and defends himself with precise, agile movements. Finally, our hero lands a devastating punch that takes down one of the beasts, leaving only one remaining. He unleashes a flurry of heavy blows, yet the last monster barely flinches. Its eyes glow crimson with pure menace. Suddenly, the roller coaster train hurtles down the track and slams into the creature from behind. Ming, having anticipated this, clings tightly to the rails to avoid being hit. He recalls setting up this desperate trap earlier when he found the control room. Still hanging from the track, Ming spots the surviving beast charging toward him. As it lunges, he grabs its hands and both of them plummet. Our boy taunts the creature, calling it a mere parasite surviving off Dr. Zhao, and points out that killing it will wound its master as well. With lightning-fast thinking, he crosses its arms and uses the monster's body to cushion his own fall as they crash violently to the ground. Later, as he washes the blood and grime from his hands, Ming's phone rings. It's Nurse Song. She scolds him for not answering earlier and anxiously asks if he's all right. He explains that his phone was on mute. Sister Lan then tells him that officials have arrived at the building he mentioned, handling the situation and eradicating the monsters found inside, but neither he nor Dr. Zhao were seen there. Ming replies that he's at an amusement park and fills her in on Zhao's horrific plans. He reveals that he has stolen both the blood serum and the antibodies, which contain the mutated source. Once experts extract the antibodies, the polluted southern suburbs should begin to recover. Nurse Song, clearly relieved, says the serum is vital and promises to send officials to the amusement park immediately. But our hero tells her he can't stay put. Dr. Zhao is still hunting him. He suggests meeting at the southern tower and asks her to dispatch the experts there instead. Before hanging up, he warns that Zhao has mutated and is extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, from a distance, Dr. Zhao watches Ming intently, murmuring to himself that, as expected, his target showed up right on time. Dr. Zhao appears and greets Ming, then gestures up at the amusement park ride where the boy's teammates are tied and held captive. He explains that while searching for Ming, he encountered his friends but decided to keep them alive because they're connected to him. The captives cry out desperately for help, and our protagonist feels a crushing helplessness, knowing he's no match for the mutated doctor. His only hope is to hold out until the authorities arrive. The doctor then points at Lin Long, asking if she's Ming's girlfriend, suggesting he must care deeply about her. Lin quickly clarifies that they're just classmates who look out for each other, making Zhao question whether his life is worth risking for mere classmates. Our hero mocks him, calling those underground speeches laughable. He argues that, contrary to Zhao's belief that humans are a disease to the universe, he sees them as giving meaning and vitality to an otherwise lonely cosmos. Ming says that the universe's own evolution led to life, but Zhao rejects this idea. The doctor goes on to claim that civilization and thought are evolving, and this evolution is producing superhumans, stubborn viral beings who are increasingly difficult to eliminate because they grow stronger through each stage of evolution. Ming counters that neither of them can prove who is truly right, and that in the end, it all comes down to strength. Whoever is strong is right. He displays the blood serum, proposing a simple challenge. If Zhao defeats him, he can have the serum. He taunts him further, saying that if Zhao can't even defeat someone who failed to get into a superhuman institution, he should stop deluding himself. Dr. Zhao drops all pretense of philosophy. He threatens the young fighter. If he doesn't hand over the serum, he'll kill his classmates. Ming, resolute, declares that they all pledge their lives to protect the nation's people, even if it means dying. In response, Zhao cruelly hurls a bone spike, impaling Lu Xing's leg. He then aims at Lin Long's face but narrowly misses. As our boy turns to escape, the doctor bellows in frustration, vowing to riddle Ming's friends with holes if he dares to run again. Seeing Ming try to escape, Dr. Zhao admits it would be troublesome if the boy were to run, so he agrees to the condition, though he calls it a waste of time. He demands Ming return, then launches a sudden attack, declaring that dodging and running will make the fight meaningless. To trap him, the doctor creates a barrier of bone spikes and warns that if Ming steps outside the boundary, he'll kill one of the students. Our protagonist accepts the challenge, but Zhao keeps taunting, bringing up Ming's failure in the admission test and how he fell into a coma afterward because he couldn't handle the truth. The doctor mocks him, calling him pitiful and claiming people only pretended to care, with even the flowers at his hospital bed arranged by a teacher who forced everyone to participate. Ming dodges a barrage of bone spikes, each attack laced with another cruel jeer. Jay reminds him of how he once called his own life sad, questioning why he's trying to play the hero now. One of the strikes lands squarely on Ming's chest, blood gushing out. From above, the wounded Lin Long pleads for him to run and save himself. But our hero grits his teeth and rises to his feet again, refusing to give up. Zhao sneers at his determination, saying nothing will change no matter how many times he stands up. As the doctor charges for another attack, Ming spits blood into his eyes, momentarily blinding him. His hands glow with energy as he realizes his own blood is one of the strongest mediums for his mystic punches. He lands a devastating blow that sends Zhao crashing into his own bone spikes. The classmates cheer wildly. He saved them. Lu Xing cries out about his bleeding wound while Lin Long urges Ming to tend to his own injuries. But Zhao isn't finished. He rises, tearing the bone spikes from his flesh, and asks if Ming's punches come from some advanced evolution talent. The young fighter answers with another punch to the face, but Zhao barely flinches, admitting the blows are heavy but ultimately useless against him. He recalls Ming's flaming punch from the bridge, but before he can finish his thought, Ming unleashes a relentless flurry of strikes. Still, the doctor stands tall, taunting that Ming's talent is indeed interesting, but warns that against a master rank beast, his strength is far too weak. As the intense battle continues, one of Ming's classmates questions whether his talent is nothing more than a white dusk-ranked invisible power, implying it's not something that can turn the tide in a real fight. Wang Xiao, however, insists that he's the strongest among them and encourages him to muster even more strength. Dr. Zhao steps forward, declaring himself to be a leader-rank monster and asserting that Ming can't possibly defeat him. The doctor mocks him for being weak, claiming he isn't the only one with fists, and launches a furious series of punches. Our protagonist does his best to block, but Zhao's attacks have become noticeably faster ever since his hands transformed. He manages to dodge and defend for a while, but a single misstep sends him flying. Bone spikes erupt from the doctor, shooting toward him. Yet, to Zhao's surprise, none of the spikes hit their mark. The doctor remarks on the young fighter's unusual luck, calling his luck power useful and tough to deal with. With a sinister grin, he picks up another spike and turns his attention to the classmates, taunting that they are not as lucky. He prepares to attack them mercilessly. Ming shouts to remind Zhao of their deal, but then realizes with horror that he's already crossed the boundary. In a flash, a spike pierces straight through Lin Long's chest. Our hero is filled with rage and despair as crimson energy surges around him. The doctor calmly explains that she won't die instantly, but without treatment within 5 minutes, she won't survive. Enraged and desperate, the protagonist wounds his own hand on one of the sharp bone spikes, letting his blood flow. He glares at Zhao and with grim resolve declares, "If that's the case, then I'll kill you within 5 minutes." Ming charges at Dr. Zhao and lands a solid punch, but Zhao counters with another brutal strike. Undeterred, our protagonist keeps fighting, refusing to yield. The doctor mocks him, declaring that even if Ming pours out every drop of blood, it won't be enough to kill him. He taunts that if he simply stays on the defensive, Ming will die from blood loss, sneering that his struggle is pathetic. Zhao's psychological assault deepens as he jeers that doctors hate suicide survivors, as if failing to die means having no purpose in life. He calls Ming weak and pitiful for having once wanted to end his life but failing even at that. Having no purpose in life. He calls Ming weak and pitiful for having once wanted to end his life but failing even at that. He dredges up the past, how Ming's sister had to beg to keep him from being kicked out of the hospital room, and how they both lived at the bottom of society, working tirelessly for those in power. With a heavy blow, Zhao declares he'll kill Ming to free him from being a burden to others. Leaping high with hands bristling with sharp bones, the doctor crashes down, shouting for Ming to die. Our hero narrowly escapes but accidentally steps outside the boundary again. Zhao coldly reminds him that dodging only means more of his classmates will die. But Ming, filled with fiery resolve, declares that he's grateful for his life, and that his sister has always cared for him. Zhao scoffs, but Ming presses on, saying his sister sacrificed her dignity to beg for his sake because he's her only family. He reminds the doctor that even Nurse Song never abandoned him, not even during his mutation. Ming vows not to abandon Lin Long, who helped him, and recalls how his classmates all contributed to pay his hospital bills. With defiance blazing in his eyes, our protagonist asserts that even if Zhao can't be completely destroyed, his punches have left real marks, 49 in total, on the enemy's body. Gathering his energy for one final strike, Ming channels the star-marked multiple fists technique, his entire body erupting in blue spirit energy. Zhao stares in disbelief, recognizing it as the legendary blue spirit talent, and realizes he's been defeated by someone he once called trash for failing the school exam. Blue energy explodes outward. Ming's classmates gaze in awe as Zhao finally collapses beneath the overwhelming assault. Standing tall amidst the fading light, Ming proclaims that he may not be extraordinary, but at least he's greater than Zhao, who harms others for his own twisted ideals. Ming rushes to the control room and lowers the swing, freeing his classmates from captivity. They shower him with praise, thanking him for saving their lives and blaming the examiner and the testing machine for failing to recognize his true talent. Without hesitation, our protagonist hurries to Lin Long's side as she weakly mutters about dying, but he reassures her that she'll survive and that help is on the way. Lin whispers that he's incredibly strong, but Ming urges her to save her strength and not speak for now. The classmates soon spot the arriving officials and shout for them to come over. Commander Luo Lin steps in, taking charge of the situation. She orders her team to handle the remaining crisis while she oversees the treatment of the injured students. The classmates inform the medics that the spear is still lodged in Lin Long, but they're hopeful she'll be fine if treated in time. Luo Lin turns to Ming, asking him to accept medical help since he's badly wounded. She remarks that they're all lucky to have survived an encounter with a master rank monster. As our hero is treated, Luo Lin wonders what happened to the creature. That's when solar rank hunter Lin Qing Yu arrives, confidently announcing that the crisis has already been resolved. Luo Lin cautions him not to act so hastily during missions, warning that there could still be an enemy ambush. But Lin Qing Yu reassures her that the mutated human responsible for the disaster is dead, having used pollution mutation to retrofit himself. The commander's expression brightens as she asks who managed to kill the monster. Ming's classmates eagerly point to him, and he confirms that he's the one who defeated Dr. Zhao. He also hands over the blood serum, explaining that he took it from the doctor. When asked about his rank and how he pulled off such a feat, our protagonist calmly explains that his superpower evolution ability is still at its first stage, and that he's only a trainee starlight rank. Luo Lin is stunned, exclaiming that the monster had recently killed 2 Moonbright rank hunters. Wang Xiao steps forward, clarifying that Ming only just became a super evolution hunter and didn't even pass the school entrance exam. The commander recognizes his voice as the one who disobeyed orders over the walkie-talkie and calls him arrogant. But a doctor interrupts, identifying Ming as the one who saved them on the bus in the south area, while Lin Long, her voice weak but proud, calls him the true hero who saved everyone, making the higher-ranked hunters seem useless by comparison. Humble as ever, our protagonist says he simply did his best to save his classmates. Impressed, Luo Lin smiles and invites him to join the official Super Evolution organization, promising excellent treatment, a high salary, great benefits, and joking that all the female colleagues are as pretty as she is. Lin Long teases Commander Luo Lin, telling her not to be shameless and insisting that none of the other women could possibly match her beauty. Luo Lin just laughs and turns to Ming, saying that while the Advanced Evolution School may not have wanted him, the official organization would gladly welcome him with open arms. Our hero tries to respond, but exhaustion and blood loss finally catch up with him, and he collapses where he stands. Doctors rush in, explaining that he simply pushed himself too far and lost too much blood. Later, a public report announces that, thanks to the efforts of advanced hunters and the official organization, all monsters in the southern area have been eliminated. The report highlights a mysterious hero who played a key role in resolving the crisis and promises a special interview with him once he recovers. At the hospital, our protagonist lies in bed with Nurse Song by his side. When he finally opens his eyes, she admits she was afraid he'd fall into a coma again. Ming, still weak, asks why she's there, and the nurse replies that the organization asked her to look after the city's new hero. She adds that plenty of reporters are waiting for an interview, but Ming's first concern is Lin Long. Nurse Song reassures him that Lin is in the ICU but out of danger, and she'll recover with time and proper care. Just then, the door opens and Lee General enters with Luo Lin. They ask about Ming's condition, and Nurse Song explains that his physique is remarkable. He recovers faster than most. Lee General thanks him on behalf of the organization for everything he's done. Luo Lin then invites Nurse Song out for shopping and a meal, and the two women leave, giving Ming and the General some privacy. Lee General takes a seat, his expression serious, and Ming senses there's more to this visit than a simple thank you. The General commends his perceptiveness and mentions that he spoke with the classmates about the battle with Dr. Zhao. From everything he's heard, Ming shouldn't have been able to defeat such a foe with his current ability level, but he's deeply impressed by what the young fighter accomplished. He continues, explaining that there's a common misconception. People often assume that the higher the rank, the stronger the person, but that's not always true. Victory, he says, isn't determined by evolution ability alone. It's also about intelligence and wisdom. When Ming humbly attributes his survival to luck, Lee General shakes his head and corrects him. Luck might carry someone for a moment, but it doesn't explain everything. He points out how long Ming lasted in battle, something no amount of luck could achieve. Then his tone darkens as he brings up Zhao's words about the main body's immune system and its mission to eradicate humanity. The General encourages Ming to reflect on the term authority, hinting that not everything Zhao said was mere madness. There may be deeper truths behind the authority that governs evolution and calamity in their world. Lee General tells Ming that the second matter is a formal invitation. Luo Lin has recommended him, and the organization hopes he'll join. He notes that Ming's ability has indeed brought him luck. After all, being in a coma for a year and waking up with a purple soul rank is a rare blessing born from misfortune. Our hero nods, but as the General presses him for a decision, he hesitates, still pondering everything he's heard. The officer then shifts to a more serious topic. Based on research, the scourges that have invaded Earth originated from meteors. Each meteor, he says, carries a creature inherently hostile to humans. This, he explains, is simply the nature of all living things. Earth's life force itself is driven by survival. He then asks what our protagonist thinks the instinct of these meteor-born beings is. Ming replies, to kill, and Lee General agrees, explaining that their primary instinct is indeed to kill until humanity is extinct. He then asks if that means humanity really is the cancer cell of the universe's main body, as Zhao claimed. The General responds that, if anything, humanity's first instinct is survival, and the second is exploration. But even super beings don't know the ultimate answer. They're still on instinct number 2. When our boy wonders why, if the universe rejects humanity, it would bestow advanced evolution abilities, Lee General suggests that those born with such powers are humanity's best defense against these menaces, perhaps the universe's newborns, invaders, or even its own viruses. Until the truth is uncovered, he says, super beings will persist, carrying the flame of civilization and refusing to be defeated. Ming quietly resolves that, while he can't save all of humanity, he will at least protect those close to him. Before leaving, Lee General has 2 questions, insisting on honesty. He recounts the event a year ago when an outer meteor, Goddess Queen, entered Earth's atmosphere, changed course, and exploded above the planet. Ming was nearby and fell into a coma for a year. The General asks what he saw. Our hero recalls lightning covering the sky before he quickly lost consciousness, then asks if meteors themselves are also terrifying scourges. Lee General explains that disasters are ranked from 1 to 12. A rank 1 disaster has the destructive power of a severe weather event, like a tornado. The recent mutated monster incident in Lanyang's southern suburbs was graded as an A rank 3 disaster. Serious, but not catastrophic. Zhao had tried to escalate it by contaminating the water supply, which could have upgraded it to a rank 6 event, but Ming stopped him in time. He's shocked that even this serious crisis is only a rank 3. The General tells him the Goddess Queen catastrophe was a rank 9 disaster, so powerful it threatened the entire southern region of China. For comparison, 5 years ago, a rank 8 disaster involved a meteor's Emperor rank disaster beast, and the recent pollution comes from that beast's blood, which an underground merchant hid away. He says he needs to talk with his sister, so Lee General politely excuses himself, promising not to disturb him. As the man leaves, Ming suddenly calls out. The General turns, expecting some crucial memory or clue, but our protagonist just asks about the monetary reward. Lee General laughs, assuring him he'll get every penny and departs. Left alone, Ming sits in meditation to cultivate his energy. His consciousness drifts to a strange, different place, where he addresses a sculpture, asking if she heard what Lee General said. Suddenly, blue light bursts from the sculpture, and it transforms into a beautiful woman. Our hero stands before her and asks, "Are you really a rank 9 disaster?" The woman insists that he is at least rank 11, which makes our protagonist wonder if she was really sent to destroy humanity. She affirms that everything Dr. Zhao said is true, labeling humans as greedy, and explaining that this greed has already tainted the universe's main body. Sitting on the stairs, our boy says this is yet another reason why he won't let her out. She reminds him that she gave him space to train while he was in a coma, which is exactly how he was able to defeat Zhao. He explains that their relationship is symbiotic. If one dies, the other will eventually perish as well. The goddess says that due to an accident when she descended, she ended up residing in his body and calls him a weak host. She argues that his fist's instincts are not to kill, as Lee General claimed, but to survive. Our hero points out that even when he was at his weakest, she still chose to merge with him. She tells him not to compare her to others, asserting that she is nobler and higher. She is a goddess. She also explains that finding a compatible host is difficult, and adapting to a symbiotic relationship takes time, just as it took him a year. He realizes she was the reason for his coma, but to make up for it, she granted him a special ability. The goddess claims she now wants to live peacefully, while he points out that her survival instinct is the same as Earth's life force and humans' own nature. He adds that even she doesn't know the universe's full truth and is simply following certain rules. Although the world isn't perfect and has its dark sides, he believes it is still good overall, even calling her cute and expressing hope they can get along. She dismisses the idea, telling him to focus on cultivating and grow stronger, insisting she doesn't want to die with him. She threatens to create even tougher opponents, but Ming refuses, saying he's tired and that overtraining, even in the meditation space, is unhealthy. When he opens his eyes, our protagonist admits that there's essentially a nuclear bomb inside him. If he tells anyone about her, she will surely detonate. He wonders if, since he can restrain her, he might be able to resolve even a rank 9 disaster. Outside the hospital, reporters swarm him with questions. As they crowd around, some demand he remove his mask, while others urge him to make a statement. Ming responds that he's only trying to protect the people around him, and gives credit to the officials for killing the mutant. He adds that everyone in the southern suburbs played a heroic role and suggests the reporters interview them instead. Meanwhile, Luo Kai mourns at the graves of his companions, calling them all heroes. At a park, our hero reflects that he can't reveal his identity publicly, or he'll risk being taken to some lab for experiments. Checking his bank balance, he's relieved to finally be rich, which means his sister can relax. Unaware that he's been hospitalized again, she would be worried sick if she found out. He greets her at her ice cream stall and excitedly shows her the rewards, promising they'll have a feast and take a break today. But his sister insists they need to sell the ice cream while it's still fresh, so he decides to help out. She encourages him to study and retake the exam, praising the hero who dealt with the southern suburbs incident. Reminding him of his own dream to become a super being, she suggests he use that hero as inspiration to pass the exam. Privately, our boy muses that he actually is the hero and tells her that his doctor advised him to get fresh air, so he'll stay and help. Nearby, Luolin watches and calls him foolish for rejecting fame just to help his sister. She calls to discuss joining the officials, but Ming says he wants to focus on studying and try for special recruitment. Luolin explains that the special recruitment department, Trell and Frank, allows members to move freely without being tied to full-time city protection. He can join other legal super being groups and only needs to help officials in emergencies or special cases. Members receive official authority and an annual fee, which would help with school expenses. He'll have plenty of freedom, only needing to participate in at least 2 missions a year to keep the benefits. He replies that they can always call him if they need help, since protecting the country is his duty. Luolin compliments his way with words, and officially welcomes him to the Dragonfang special recruitment team. After Ming's sister finishes selling all the ice cream, she joins him and asks about his phone call. He tells her that he's gotten a job now, so he no longer has to wake up early to earn extra money. He adds that they'll soon be moving to a new house since his salary is good. She says this calls for a celebration, and together they enjoy a seafood feast while he buys her new clothes. They move into a rented house for now, but plan to purchase it soon. Grateful, she says she wishes she could thank the Land City hero for risking his life. They're only able to buy a new house because of him. She insists her brother must thank the hero if he ever gets the chance. Ming agrees, though our protagonist privately thinks there's no need for thanks. These people are worth risking his life for. Afterwards, our boy throws himself into a rigorous training routine that includes core and strength training, knowledge gathering, and combat practice. The goddess tells him that Dr. Zhao's statistics have been analyzed, and he can now use his pantheon for combat training. Ming admits he hasn't forgiven Zhao yet, but she advises him to focus on building up his body and taking in more nutrients. While his combat skills are strong thanks to his brain, his body still lags behind his reaction speed. The deity urges him to aim for solar rank so he can survive tougher battles. Ming wonders if he'll be able to use territory skills, and she confirms. If he learns that, Zhao will become insignificant before him. His teacher once said that territory can break human physical limits, and our hero's fist power is already above average. He then asks about his red warlock talent. The goddess explains its benefits, including a secret art and the power of absolute territory, where he can set the rules of battle in his favor. She refuses to let him experience it directly, instead urging him to practice the secret art and get familiar with it. He discovers that 49 marks are needed to activate the multiple fists ability, and that the more marks he leaves, the stronger the skill becomes. She also gives him tips to quickly stack the marks, allowing him to master the secret art faster. A month later, Ming heads to South City for an exam, asking his sister not to worry about him. Meanwhile, at South City's Bingshan Industrial Park, 2 guards patrol in thick fog. One suggests they give up because they can't see anything, and as they try to return, they realize they're lost and have wandered into a strange place. Suddenly, one hears a noise, and when he checks, he finds his companion being devoured by a giant monster. As the guard flees to the control room, he grabs his phone but suddenly spots a figure outside. He calls out, warning them of the danger. The figure approaches, a woman with long, monstrous hair. Her hair snakes forward, grabbing him and killing him instantly, while outside, another creature prowls through the mist. Nearby, a terrified girl hides, struggling to stifle her cries, but the monster woman moves on without noticing her. Meanwhile, Ming rides a train along the same route, chatting with his sister. He assures her that he's financially secure now, and that a friend will help him find a place to live. Crew member Tak Shin is asked how much longer until they reach the city. She replies that it'll be about an hour. She then asks a woman if she's bringing her daughter to study, and the woman proudly explains that her daughter, Fang Nian, was the top student in Lanyang City. and has been admitted to the city's advanced evolution school. Passengers admire the girl's beauty and talent, while some share stories about their own struggles with the challenging exam. Ming glances her way, quietly admiring her ability, and reflecting that, unlike her, our protagonist got into the school through a side door. A woman with a baby sits nearby. Suddenly, the train jolts to a halt, startling everyone. The baby slips, but our boy reacts instantly, catching him before he hits the floor, drawing Neon's attention. Confusion spreads as fog thickens outside and the signal lights die out. A curious child peers through the window, whispering that the train stopped because something huge is out there. An announcement follows, asking everyone to stay seated due to a problem faced by the crew. The passengers grow uneasy, murmuring about what might be happening. Curious, Ming rises and asks Tak Shin about the situation. She says the crew is investigating and urges him to return to his seat. He reveals that he's an advanced adventure hunter and offers to help if needed. Tak Shin accepts and brings him along. Neon steps forward too, insisting she can help. They soon meet Chi Ming, the security officer, who's skeptical after hearing their ranks and says they can't assist when no one even knows what's waiting outside. Ming counters that waiting could make things worse, and another officer sides with him, assigning Chi to accompany the group. Our hero urges Neon to stay for her safety, but she refuses to back down. Together, the trio leaves the train, warning the crew to keep the doors sealed, no matter what happens next. Ming walks ahead with Neon and Chi. The officer eyes the girl skeptically, questioning why, as a professional, she needs him to explain things. Ming calmly replies that it's to prevent accidents, then asks if trains usually stop operating when they hit fog. Kai explains that as long as the tracks are clear, the train keeps moving. The system only halts when it detects something ahead. Our protagonist notes that must be why it stopped now, but Chi waves it off, saying it's probably just animals like pigs or chickens. Meanwhile, back on the train, Tak Shin notices a girl standing outside. Remembering Ming's warning, she refuses to open the door. A passenger steps up, insisting she let the woman in, certain she must be frightened. Tak Shin explains that the doors are locked and no one could have exited, but the man accuses her of being heartless and unlocks the door himself, calling for the woman to come inside. The woman steps forward, revealed to be a monster. Her thick, writhing hair lashes out, seizing the man and swallowing him whole. Tak Shin screams and lunges to pull him free, but the creature's hair nearly catches her too. She barely manages to slam the door shut before being dragged away into the fog. Inside, a group of passengers play cards to pass the time. One wonders how long the issue will take to resolve, and a crew member assures them the situation is under investigation. Later, someone notices Tak Shin's absence and complains that she must have forgotten to lock the door, unaware of the horror unfolding just outside. Ming observes the devastated landscape, recognizing the markings left by a calamity beast. His phone rings and Luo Lin contacts him, noting his location is near Nando's Xiaopei town. He confirms he was traveling there by train but explains they've stopped mid-route due to an emergency. Thick fog and weak signals have made things difficult. When she asks if the train is operational, he reassures her that it's fine. It's just blocked by debris on the tracks. Once the obstacles are cleared, they should be able to resume. Luolin urges him to hurry and get the train moving. They're near the fog's edge, and lingering could be dangerous. Ming asks about the fog, but she tells him to focus on getting everyone out safely first. Down by the tracks, Chi and Nian work hard clearing away the debris. Chi grumbles that our protagonist is leaving them the tough job, but Ming insists they need to hurry and get back to the train. He explains that he managed to get a call from the officials while up on the mountain and warns them that the tracks show signs of a calamity beast, likely responsible for knocking down the rocks. When questioned, our boy says he has no reason to lie, adding that this fog might be the sign of a high-ranking calamity. Their priority, he reminds them, is the safety of everyone on the train. As they rush back, Chi stumbles and finds a corpse, shouting an alarm. Suddenly, the monstrous woman appears, attacking them. Our hero quickly pulls Nian out of harm's way. He tells her to run and hide, but she insists on fighting alongside him. The creature snares him with her hair, dragging him closer, but he breaks free with a powerful punch. Nian is awestruck by the force of the blow, noting it surpasses what's expected from a starlight rank. The monster, undeterred, steadies herself and prepares for another attack. The monster charges again, but our protagonist counters with a relentless flurry of punches. Nian watches in amazement as Ming's eyes glow blue, each strike landing harder than the last. Finally, the creature's body splits open, revealing a human inside, Tak Shin. Our hero quickly pulls her free, unsure if she's still alive, while the wounded beast retreats into the mist. He helps the unconscious woman back to the train, where the crew anxiously crowds around, demanding to know what happened. They board and secure the compartments, locking every door before setting off once more. Meanwhile, in Shaoxi, Qing is on a call with Luo Lin. Luo Lin explains that officials detected a calamity meteor about a month ago. Although no alien life was found, only thick steam, the Xishan Industrial Park took heavy damage. The event was unprecedented, and authorities dubbed it the Mist. Qing notes that the fog usually lingers near the mountains and that strange calamity beasts appear only within it, vanishing once it lifts. Luolin adds that some witnesses who wandered inside claim to have seen enormous creatures, possibly even Emperor class. She also mentions that the fog recently drifted close to the train's route, confirming Qing's team is moving in the right direction. Qing comments that the fog devoured all the livestock in a nearby town, but Luo Lin expresses relief that Shaoxi's residents and the train crew were warned in time. Qing insists they must investigate further, warning that if the fog returns, it could mean disaster. She explains that people who entered lost their way, and when the mist cleared, both the wanderers and the beasts vanished without a trace. She then reveals that their knowledge of the fog came from a prior incident. When Luolin asks for details, Ching sends her a photo of an insect, a clue from the entomology research team. Half a year ago, they lost track of a specimen named Lian Pu, a patterned centipede. Its tracking chip later indicated it had hidden inside a cave near Xishan, but the team couldn't retrieve it and left it be. Because the cave lies so close to the Xishan Industrial Park, Ching suspects the centipede isn't native to the fog. Luolin confirms they were alerted the moment its location changed. Both agree that recapturing the creature could reveal key information about the phenomenon, and Ching vows to bring it back alive. Suddenly, the giant centipede appears before her, swallowing a pig whole in a single gulp. Ming sits in the ambulance with Chi, who thanks him for saving everyone's lives and admits he never expected a Starlight trainee to be so strong. Our hero shakes his head and points to Tak Shin, saying she's the real hero for protecting everyone and stopping the monster from getting in, calling her honorable. Once they reach the hospital, Ming receives a call from an unknown number. He immediately recognizes Luo Qian's voice. She says she got his number from Lin Long, who also told her he was coming to South City. When Ming asks why she didn't call earlier, he explains something happened on the way, and she quickly realizes it must be related to the fog incident. Luo Qian says she'll come find him, and he suggests meeting outside the city's evolution school. She agrees. As he waits, our protagonist recalls proposing to her, and concludes that her silence must have been a rejection. Meanwhile, Luo Qian talks with her friend, convinced Ming must have read the letter she left for him in the hospital, the one where she wrote that they could start dating once he recovered. Her friend insists she only feels sorry for him and warns that he has other options, urging her to be honest. Luo Qian admits she's liked Ming for a long time, though her friend hadn't realized it before. Now, as the school's goddess, the friend warns her not to date out of pity. Luo Qian insists he's a good person, and she wants to give it a try, promising to tell him if it doesn't work out. Despite her friend's protests, she decides to see where things lead. Outside the school, Ming admires its sleek design, wishing he could study there, while a group of girls nearby quietly mocks him. When Luo Qian arrives, whispers ripple through the group about her beauty, and how she once rejected Lin's proposal, one of South City's top 3 young masters. They speculate that she might actually want Ming to chase her, since hardly anyone turns Lin down. Luo Qian greets our boy warmly and invites him for coffee, while the onlookers murmur, wondering if they're dating. On the walk to the cafe, Ming considers mentioning their past but decides against it, assuming her invitation is simply to avoid any awkwardness. Meanwhile, Luo Qian debates whether to hold his hand, but he stays oblivious, thinking it's nice just to spend time with her as a friend. At the cafe, they chat about her popularity. She teasingly asks if he came to South City just to see her, but Ming explains he's actually there to try out for recruitment and to tour the city. When she asks where he's staying, she blushes at the thought of them living together. Ming notices her red face and asks if she's all right, but she brushes it off, suggesting that if he passes the exam, she'll help him out, and it'll be convenient for them to stay together in the future. He interprets this as studying together and assumes Luo Qian must already have a boyfriend. Luo Qian then asks about the fog incident, and Ming tells her everything, even handing over his hunter badge for her to see. As they talk, Fang Kai arrives, sneering at our protagonist's low rank and mocking that it's embarrassing to have someone like him as an old friend. Kai complains to Luo Qian for not telling him that Ming was coming, saying he would have gathered all their classmates. She replies that she wanted to talk to him alone, and Ming agrees, asking Kai not to interrupt. Just then, she gets a call and asks them to stay quiet. Kai leaves, muttering curses under his breath and grumbling that as the school's goddess Luo Qian deserves someone like him, not Ming. After finishing her call, she apologizes, explaining that she has to leave for something urgent. Our protagonist reassures her that they'll meet again, and she waves goodbye before heading out. Outside, she meets her brother, who tells her they need her lightning control ability, and that they'll discuss the details in the car. Ming watches from inside, mistakenly assuming the man is her boyfriend, and decides he shouldn't bother her too much in the future. At the special recruitment area, 2 students gossip about the upcoming exam, noting that it happens every year after freshmen arrive. They claim the process is rigged with money and connections, and that anyone with real ability would have already passed the official exam. As our boy walks by, a student named Ling Hui approaches and suggests they go in together since they're both there for the exam. Ling asks how much he donated, but Ming looks confused. He came just to try out, not knowing about any donations. Ling explains that many students get in without taking the exam thanks to connections and bribes, and even shares how much he personally paid. He warns that the special recruitment is a sham meant to raise money for the school, since the community doesn't donate enough. Ming admits he doesn't expect to pass, and Ling advises him to work hard, earn money, and try again. Suddenly, Yan Jin, the recruitment teacher, arrives with his assistants, Ji and Shai. He calls out the students' names but almost skips Ming until Ling reminds him there's one more. She then explains the exam. There are 5 rounds, 4 physical tests, and 1 combat test. He presents the Strength Stump Man for the strength test and announces the standards. To pass, our hero must hit with at least 1,500 kilos of force. If he fails, he'll be asked to leave immediately. Ming steps up, punches with all his might, and shatters the Stump Man. The other students stare in shock. The examiner declares him passed, and since the Stump Man is broken, all the other students pass too. Ji suggests they should consider recruiting Ming, but Yanjin disagrees, pointing out that they've already rejected many applicants with perfect written exam scores, so the newcomer has little chance of passing. She supports his view, and the examiner proposes increasing the difficulty to ensure Ming fails. For the next test, they assess speed. Anyone who gets knocked down by a general rank red cheetah will fail. Yan instructs the handler to have the beast go easy on the other students, but to target Ming specifically. The test begins. The cheetah chases another student at first, but stops on command. When it's our protagonist's turn, he sizes up the creature, thinking it doesn't seem that strong and he should be able to handle it easily. As it lunges at him, he dodges and tries to redirect it toward the others, but it keeps focusing on him. Realizing tricks won't work, our boy decides it's time to show off the results of his months of training. He takes off at an incredible speed, leaving the examiners amazed, though they insist he'll eventually tire out since there are still 15 minutes left. 10 minutes in, however, it's the cheetah that gets exhausted instead. Ming taunts the beast, joking that now it's his turn to chase, and if he catches it, he'll break all its teeth. The test ends soon after, and the exam moves on to the third round, reaction speed. Impressed by Ming's strength and skill, Jay once again recommends recruiting him, but the examiner refuses. Another assistant notices that Yan Jin seems to have a personal grudge against the young man. Yan recalls a recent bribe. Someone paid him to make sure their talented son, who will miss the official exams, gets a spot. That means Ming must not pass. The third round begins, featuring a withered tree polluted by a disaster. Ji explains that although the tree is dangerous, it won't kill anyone, just injure them if they're hit. Shai uses fresh blood to rile it up, making it attack more aggressively. All the other candidates manage to pass. When it's our protagonist's turn, the assistant applies an extra amount of blood, sending the tree into a frenzy. Our hero, however, dodges every strike with ease, remarking that even bullets wouldn't hit him. The examiner is baffled and asks Shai if he's going easy on him. In response, Shu dramatically deepens the cut on his own hand to draw more blood, but even then, Ming avoids every attack, using his secret art to stay untouched. The spectators are amazed, wondering who he really is, while Ming himself thinks the tree is actually great training. Will rushes forward, praising the display and insisting he should be recruited. The examiner, still reluctant, argues that the combat round is the most important test. Meanwhile, Shai ends up in the hospital after losing too much blood. Rumors spread that he tried to harm himself because his girlfriend is cheating, but he denies it and explains what really happened with the tree during the exam. The examiner and students gather in the room for the talent rank test for super beings. Yanjin announces that, according to the records, Ming has the White Dusk rank. Our protagonist questions why this test is scheduled last, pointing out that failing it would render all previous rounds meaningless. Yan responds that he'll go last and tells the others to begin. Ling is the first to take the test and achieves the Purple Soul rank, as do all the other students. Yan then reveals that he reviewed our hero's school record from the previous year. Although he scored perfectly on the theoretical exam, his hidden super being talent was deemed useless. When questioned about this, Yan explains that at university, students quickly learn that super being talents can actually be altered. He describes a substance called life droplet, secreted by the scourge, learn that super being talents can actually be altered. He describes a substance called life droplet, secreted by the scourge, which super beings can use to replace their original talent and gain new abilities. With enough money and resources, anyone can upgrade their talent, even from white dust or blue spirit to purple soul. Yan claims that this is how the other students obtained their rank. The revelation leaves our protagonist deep in thought, recalling the goddess's advice that concealing one's true power is the first rule of survival. He decides there's no need to reveal his true Red Warlock rank. Yan says that purple soul is the minimum requirement, but warns that secret arts grant unimaginable destructive power. He questions whether the young man can withstand the secret arts of those with that rank. Our hero calmly replies that he understands how dangerous secret arts can be, even threatening one's ability to fight. Yan ridicules him, insisting that his art is nothing compared to the solid foundation the others possess. Undeterred, he thanks the examiner for the reminder that a strong foundation will make his secret art even more powerful. He steps forward, gripping the test globe. At first it glows blue, but then it suddenly turns purple, stunning everyone. The examiner exclaims that it's impossible. Ling interjects, reminding everyone that he himself taught the protagonist that super being talents can be exchanged. Ming confirms he's passed the test and remarks that since everyone achieved the purple soul rank, they all deserve the highest points. Ji compliments his talent, but Yan reminds everyone that there's still one final round to go. Shai tells the group to take a break while they invite a senior student for the real combat portion of the test. As the students quietly discuss our boy, Kai offers to participate in the combat round. Ji points out that since Kai entered the school with the third highest score and has a year of training, it would be unfair for him to help with the test. However, another assistant argues that they should keep the standards high and let him participate, even though he's ranked among the school's top 10. In the combat arena, a crowd gathers as GE announces that the upcoming match will be open to the public. Shai reads out the exam list. Ming will be fighting against Kai. The audience cheers for Kai, impressed that he's ranked in the school's top 10, as both competitors step onto the field. Kai greets our protagonist, saying that even though they used to be classmates, he won't hold back. Our hero responds in kind. As the match starts, Kai charges in with his berserk wind tackle, but it doesn't faze him. Ming, with a hint of mockery, says he'll play along and admits he's disliked Kai since high school. His opponent, growing angry, calls our boy a failure who couldn't even pass the entrance exam. Ming accuses him of always causing trouble between him and Luo Qian, and recalls how Kai, along with Shui Zheng and Lu Xing, would team up with other classes to ostracize him. Kai mocks our protagonist, calling him a mere laborer who only knows how to carry bricks and claiming he isn't worthy of even being at the school. When questioned why he's participating, Kai says he was requested to help, and the assistant teacher confirms that he volunteered specifically to fight Ming. Frustrated, Kai insists that as the examiner, he can decide who passes or fails, and declares our hero unworthy of the school and of Luo Qian. Ming retorts that if Kai truly likes Luo Qian, he should prove it through effort and ability, not by following her everywhere. He points out that Kai was rejected by her and is now trying to assert his superiority. Losing his temper, Kai calls the school a sacred place where people like Ming don't belong, insisting he's only fit for construction or dishwashing jobs. Ming responds that this is the real Kai, but it won't affect the beating he's about to receive. Kai demands he kneel and beg for mercy, proclaiming his authority as examiner. The protagonist coolly replies that this is the perfect chance to finally give Kai the beating he deserves, without worrying about medical bills since it's part of the exam. Before Kai can respond, Ming lunges forward to attack. Kai blocks the first strike, but the next punch sends him flying, blood spraying from his mouth. Regaining his composure, Kai uses his spirit skill, Berserk Wind Whip, summoning swirling winds around himself. Confident, he taunts that our boy won't be able to get close, questioning how he'll even fight back, and boasts that his abilities are nothing compared to his own. He then unleashes his Wind Python attack, surrounding himself with powerful, swirling energy. Our boy instantly recognizes the spirit technique and quickly fuses the sand, coating his hand as he attacks with his mysterious fist. The opponent, Kai, floats in the air with a confident smile, but that expression falters when he notices the sand swirling beneath him. Suddenly, a massive sand fist slams into him, sending him crashing to the ground. The onlookers start to question whether Kai really deserves his spot in the top 10, since he's being beaten by a newcomer, while others agree that Ming is truly strong and deserves to date Luo Qian. Kai gets back to his feet and reveals his hidden ability. The angrier he becomes, the stronger his berserk wind breath grows under his control. He roars, gathering energy and wind in his hands, and shouts at our protagonist, claiming he's been pushed to a new level. With his eyes glowing blue, he uses a secret art to unleash a storm breath tornado, stunning the crowd, who say that he's finally taking things seriously. Meanwhile, Ji panics, pointing out that using a secret art is forbidden during the recruitment test, but Yanjin stays silent. Back in the arena, Kai's power wipes out a giant sand fist as he declares that Ming is finished. Our hero, unfazed, stares right at the tornado, convinced that his opponent's secret art is nothing compared to his own power. The assistant teacher remarks that he's just a naive kid overestimating himself, while Ji shouts at Yanjin, worried for the boy's safety. Ling yells at him to run, and the onlookers think he's been swallowed up by the tornado, but our boy stands still, mocking his opponent for being angry and useless. Kai shouts furiously, vowing to leave him paralyzed and confined to a hospital bed as he unleashes his full strength. Our protagonist calmly studies himself, watching the tornado bear down on him. Then purple energy envelops his fist, and his eyes glow with power as he punches straight through the wind, landing a direct blow on Kai. Kai's eyes widen in shock as the purple energy slams into him, sending him flying into the wall. Blood pours from his mouth as he collapses to the ground, unable to comprehend what just happened. Ming steps forward and explains that his mysterious fist can absorb energy from the environment, including wind breath. His opponent tries to stand, trembling, refusing to believe that the spirit technique he faced has defeated his own secret art. Ming admits that Kai's secret art could have killed him, but he held back because they're old classmates. Ling steps in, returns his jacket, and reveals to everyone that the protagonist's talent is the rare purple soul. He points out that Ming didn't even have to use his own secret art to win. When someone asks if he wasn't ranked white before, he replies that people grow and change, then tells Kai to go to the hospital since his injuries are serious. The two walk away together, openly mocking him as he lies on the ground, coughing blood. Ji tells Yanjin to recruit Ming, or there will be a lot of criticism since everyone saw how strong he is. When Ming says he'll be a glory student now, Yanjin warns him not to get arrogant, reminding him that South City has no shortage of geniuses. Ming suggests the examiner should be more strict with recruitment, saying that people like Kai will damage the city's reputation if others think he got his rank through connections. He adds that Yanjin can call on him if he ever needs someone to test newcomers, promising not to let anyone unworthy through. The man, gritting his teeth, congratulates him and tells him not to get arrogant after joining, and to always seek knowledge and respect his teachers. Ming shrugs, saying it depends, and walks off, while Ji asks who will pay Kai's medical bills. Yanjin says no one, since Kai broke the rules, and the defeated student insists he has enough money anyway. Afterward, the other battles finish successfully, and Ling leaves, saying his father is preparing a celebration. A girl runs up to the victor, asking to add him on WeChat and offering to be his guide. When he asks about the dormitory, she volunteers to show him, but Luo Qian steps in, saying that since she's his old classmate, she should be his guide. When the other girl presses for his WeChat and phone number, Luo Qian says his phone and SIM card are broken. Later, while walking with her, Ming asks how she knew about his phone situation. She explains that the girl was just trying to get close to him, and then asks whether he passed the test with a high score. He says he did his best and talks about Kai, calling him someone who seems like a bad person on the outside but is actually kind inside. They laugh and chat together, and Luo Qian congratulates him, happy that they'll be classmates again. Ming finally has the school life he had long desired. Poetry Banyan Road, a spacious grassland practice area, a lively student street, retro school buildings, and a library. During the Super Beings Combat Ability Foundation class, Teacher Zhang talks about ranked talent and asks if anyone knows what core power people with the White Dusk talent possess. He calls on Nian, and she replies that those people's bodies are stronger than normal, and with hard training, they can exceed even some professional sports limits. The teacher explains that while human limits once lay in strength, speed, and precision, the White Dusk rank of super beings has long surpassed them through what's called super being physics. Each White Dusk excels in different ways, some in speed, others in power. At South City School, recruitment generally accepts anyone who meets at least one of 4 requirements: strength, speed, reaction speed, or combat skill. Yet a student questions why his classmate, despite having White Dusk talent and meeting both strength and reaction standards, was still rejected. Zhang responds that this leads directly to what they were about to explain: the Blue Spirit ranks. Since everyone here is from South City School, They should already know about Blue Spirit talent score abilities, but it's still necessary to explain in detail. Those in the Blue Spirit rank not only possess superior Skrank physics, but also wield a unique, special ability. He then asks if any student can give a demonstration, reminding them not to damage the room's facilities. A girl stands up and explains that her super being talent is glare, while her Blue Spirit talent is blindness. She offers to let everyone experience it. The instructor tells the others to close their eyes, otherwise they won't be able to perceive her spirit skill, and asks if she can release a weaker light. She agrees, adding that she can control the intensity of her glare. Light forms in her palm, and as she squeezes it, the energy scatters throughout the room. The girl calms her classmates, asking them to keep their eyes closed until their senses recover, then demonstrates her first spirit skill, causing their vision to blur. Jung explains that Blue Spirit talents combine physical strength with unique spiritual powers. Their abilities deliver powerful bursts in battle, dealing significant damage and surprising effects, but even weaker skills drain stamina and mental energy. Because of this, Blue Spirit talents begin stronger than White Dusk ranks, although super being physics continues to play a vital role in their cultivation. The teacher continues by explaining that Purple Soul rank individuals not only possess White Dusk abilities, but can also use the first spirit skill of Blue Spirit rank. A student observes that such people are rare in the school. Jong clarifies that secret arts cannot be summarized briefly, as each has unique conditions. He states that some only activate when a super being's life is at risk, and many are linked to spirit skills, delivering bursts far stronger than usual. He mentions having acquired a battle record demonstrating a secret art, and plans to show the video to illustrate its power, asking students to focus. Those near the windows are told to close the curtains and dim the light, while the faces and processes in the video are blurred for privacy. The video of our protagonist is played, and he thinks to himself that he's lucky he didn't want to become famous so early. The students stare in awe, some calling it scary, while Nyan doubts that the figure really looks like Ming. Jong instructs the class to focus as he explains the student's wind-based talent. The student had previously employed the Wind Whip and White Python spirit skills, drawing on surrounding wind energy. This elemental control forms the basis of the student's secret art, which requires reaching a certain level of proficiency to be fully effective. Listening to this, our boy thinks that since his fist could disperse those wind pythons, Kai wouldn't be able to unleash the secret art, and that he could have won easily. As the video plays, the crowd cheers again, questioning whether the guy is even human, and Nian shouts that the fist and dispersal is his secret art, looking at our hero with suspicion once more. After class, Nian approaches our boy and asks if he was the one shown in the video. He denies it, pointing out that the image was blurred, so how could she be certain it was him? She responds that when they were on the train, he wasn't yet a student at South City School, but now he sits beside her in the same classroom, which to her can only mean he passed the special requirement. Ming argues that many others also passed, but she insists she remembers him striking the scourge with his fist and sending it flying when they were in the fog. Hearing her reasoning, our protagonist simply tries to brush it off. As they stand together, an announcement begins, telling citizens to take note. It says that the astronomy group has observed and found a small object past the atmosphere circle. The estimated area where the object will fall is South City's Shade Ridge. Villagers at Shao Ridge are told to evacuate the area, while frontline commanders are ordered to prepare for battle. The Blackline group is asked to mark the area, organize, and gather a reinforcement team. Nian receives a call reminding her that she has been selected for the Blackline group, and she immediately asks for instructions. At the same time, our hero receives a call from Luo Lin about the Shao Ridge crisis, where over 1,000 alien scourges have appeared. Though the frontline will take the lead, Dragonfang needs him on standby to handle unforeseen challenges. He responds with understanding and asks what specific duties they expect from him. Luo Lin emphasizes that his position in Dragonfang limits him to emergency duties only. For the coming days, he is ordered to avoid fighting, stay within South City, and refuse any outside requests. At the dormitory building, Ming hears a guy named Zhang Yuan chatting about Blackline members and the benefits they get. When asked about the group, Wang Jai explains that disasters are announced by the astronomy team, which prompts coordinated action from officials and school governance. For disasters ranked 5 or above, the 4 groups each dispatch members for battle. Ming remarks that his small city rarely faced such crises, but Wang stresses that South City oversees the entire southern region, and that South City School acts as the main force, making Blackline membership an honor. Yan, however, scoffs, saying a mere Blackline member has nothing to boast about, as they may never even encounter a scorched shadow, unlike his brother, who serves on the front line. Wang comments that frontline members enjoy luxury, with living quarters that come with personal helpers. Yuan confirms this, pointing to a lakeside building reserved for them, and recalls seeing South City's famed goddess enter, implying she is also a frontline member. Curious, Ming asks about the goddess, and Wang replies that she is one of the school's 3 celebrated beauties, known even beyond South City: Tang Ning, Feng Ling, and Luo Qian. When asked about their exaggerated titles, Wang says that whoever watched their battles gave them those names, believing the titles fit. Ming confesses that Luo Qian is his classmate, but they don't believe him and warn him not to try using this to get the room that faces the girls' dormitory. Our boy just nods and takes his leave. In his room, he closes his eyes, meets the goddess, and asks who the opponent is today. She yawns and says that mutated Dr. Zhao is no longer fit to be his opponent. At the free practice area, Ming arrives wearing a mask, thinking there's an opponent he can spar with. In Area 1, he faces a challenger, but quickly realizes this person is much weaker than even a virtual opponent, so he treats the match as a warm-up to pass the time. Meanwhile, over in Area 3, Feng Ling, the martial saint, is sparring. She unleashes a series of relentless kicks, leaving her opponent collapsed on the ground. The defeated trainee begs her to go easy since it's just a spar, but she merely calls for the next challenger. Looking around, she urges others to fight, but everyone is too intimidated and quickly retreats. Later, she waves to a man, mentioning that she didn't even break a sweat today. He replies that with her combat ability, this place is just a playground for her to bully others. When he mentions that people call her the martial saint, she shrugs, disappointed that she doesn't have a worthy opponent. The man tells her she's improving fast and suggests she try fighting someone he saw in Area 1. Feng is about to leave, but when she spots our protagonist in action, she changes her mind, thinking he might last a few minutes against her. She hands her jacket to the man, who bets that Ming will last longer than that. She asks if he doubts her and proposes a wager. If she fails to take Ming down in 3 minutes, she'll train the hard way with his method. Feng approaches our hero for a spar, and as soon as the match begins, she charges in. She kicks, but he dodges and counters with a swift strike. She blocks it cleanly. 3 minutes quickly pass, yet both remain standing and unharmed. They exchange a brief glance, admitting they underestimated each other and agree to try again. This time, our boy uses his wind skill and unleashes a barrage of punches, but Feng dodges every single one. She considers pulling back to create distance, then suddenly takes the initiative and closes in. Their clash intensifies. The onlookers are awestruck, unable to follow their movements, and marvel at how perfectly both fighters fend off every attack. Suddenly the man's phone rings, and he calls out to Feng, saying there's an important mission. The crowd finally realizes who they've been watching, the martial saint herself, and whispers ripple through the area. Feng halts the fight, promising to meet again next time, and announces she'll be at the practice grounds every Wednesday morning. As she takes the call and walks off, she asks Uncle Yuan to find out Ming's name for her. Elsewhere, our protagonist walks alone, thinking about the girl he just fought, admitting she's strong and that he needs to work harder. As he continues, he tries to recall her name. The news report announces the elimination of the Red Eye Scourge, expressing gratitude to the Society's forces. All the resistance members from Shea Ridge return home and give special thanks to South City's 13 students, crediting them for breaking the nest. Yuan and the others watch TV, and he points out his older brother on the screen, making Wang admit he also wants to appear on TV. Li Mian sits on the sofa as Yuan asks how things are going in Blackline, since he isn't qualified to serve on the front line. Mian mocks him for being proud of nothing, since it's his brother, not him, who earned the credit. Wen bursts out, but another friend quickly calms him down, reminding them that they all live in the same dorm and shouldn't fight. When asked if they've packed, Yuan is confused and questions why. Wang reminds him about the upcoming wildlife training, which is similar to the University Army's training. One friend leaves, admitting he didn't prepare, while our protagonist confirms he's already done with his preparations. In the classroom, Zhang outlines the finalized training plan, explaining that officials have approved Shao Ridge as their training ground. Though some students complain about the harsh conditions, he stresses that it's not a trip but a serious mission. Reports indicate the Red Scourge there may lay eggs and reproduce at a dangerous pace, with their eggs threatening nearby civilians. While the students aren't yet members of society, they are responsible for carrying out the cleanup. Cutting off objections, Zhang insists Shao Ridge must be made fully safe. He reminds them that as super beings, it is their duty to protect citizens and report any eliminated scourge to both the school and authorities. Yuan, sitting among the students, suggests that if they find a weakened red scourge, they can earn credit for eliminating it, and his friend agrees. Zhang announces the class needs a representative and appoints Nian, praising her excellent reputation and the official team's recommendation. He asks if anyone objects, then says the rest of the committee will be chosen based on performance. Ending the class, he instructs students to prepare for the upcoming Shao Ridge training. Outside the classroom, Ming notices a missed call from Luo Qian. When he calls her back, she asks him to meet her at the cafe. He hangs up as his friends tease him about having a girlfriend, but our boy brushes it off. When they press him about her identity and ask if it's Luo Qian, he confirms, saying they're just friends and hands over his notebooks, asking them to put them in his room before leaving. His friends stare after him and decide to follow, since they have nothing else to do. When they ask Mian, he calls it boring and says he needs to study because he doesn't want to live in the same dorm as them. Yuan curses him, but Wang holds him back, reminding him they're going to follow Ming. At the cafe, Ming sits down with Luo Qian, saying he saw she was given a command. She replies that she was just filling a slot and praises the seniors in her group. When he asks if she's injured, she denies it. He then asks if there's any urgent reason for her to seek him out, and she admits there isn't anything special. She quietly gets angry, vowing not to call him again for acting so weird, even though they're supposed to be dating. Luo Qian then tells him she'll be their teaching assistant for the upcoming training at Shao Ridge, and will accompany them there. Our hero's friends sit behind them, convinced now that Luo Qian is really his classmate. Ming is glad he'll get to see her more often. Suddenly she asks him to go to a movie, saying her roommate thinks she's too tense and needs to relax. Wang and the others are annoyed at the idea of Ming getting invited by their goddess. He agrees, suggesting a happy film, while Luo Qian asks if he has other plans. He says it's nothing special, just training, as she invites him to come along. They get up, and our boy jokes how one of his friends calls him a training maniac, and that he should really go see a movie. They leave together, while his friend, who watched everything nearby, breaks down in disbelief, amazed that Luo Qian not only invited Ming to a movie but also asked him for coffee. All the students arrive at Shao Ridge, where the villagers warmly welcome them and offer food. The group politely refuses, knowing they can't accept such gifts. As they move forward, Nian tells Ming that the teacher is looking for him and asks him to go over. He agrees and hurries ahead to meet with Dean Meng, Vice Dean Rong Yuan, and Shu, the director of the combat class and teaching director. He greets them respectfully, and Dean Meng informs him that someone is waiting for him in the teaching section, asking him to head there. Following the instructions, our protagonist finds Luo Lin and calls out to her. She explains that every year, she comes to South City School as a temporary teacher for the new freshmen, joking that holding the holiday instructor title is exhausting. When Ming asks if there are any special instructions for him, she says there aren't. Her main responsibilities are teaching wild combat and wilderness survival skills, and ensuring the freshmen's safety. He thanks her, and Luo Lin reminds him that he's well aware of her combat skills. As a Dragonfang member, he's qualified to act as a freshman instructor, but since she knows he wants to experience university life, she promises not to reveal his identity. Before he can leave, Luo Lin admits her workload is heavy, and she hasn't had time to explain everything. Our hero asks what she means, and she says that although Dragonfang members usually act independently, she needs to clarify his authority. When he asks what kind of authority, she teases him, saying the team he joined isn't some third-rate squad. Luo Lin explains that many talented people want to get into Dragonfang, and most don't even know where to apply. She reveals that he's been given B-rank authority. Within his designated instruction area, school officials, reserve members, and even frontline members must follow his orders and arrangements. In fact, if his directives concern his area, even frontline members must give them priority. When our boy asks what an instruction area is, Luo Lin clarifies it's wherever he's currently on a mission. Right now, Shao Ridge falls under his command. When he says he isn't on a mission, she tells him that she's assigning him one at this very moment. She explains there are 2 missions. The first is ensuring the student's safety, which is a top priority for the higher-ups. Since he's a Dragonfang member, even as a freshman, he's expected to assist the officials. He replies that he would do a good job even if he wasn't a member. Luo Lin tells him he doesn't need to know the second mission yet. She'll brief him when necessary. Finally, she instructs him to return to his team and reassures him that she'll help keep his Dragonfang identity secret. Ming agrees, saying he prefers to keep a low profile, and thanks her. Meanwhile, some girls complain about the poor quality of their tent, while another grumbles about the weak signal in the area. Zhong shouts that camping is a fundamental skill for wild area operations and urges them to take the training seriously. As Luo Qian arrives, people rush toward her taking photos, while our protagonist stands near the tent, preparing bug-repellent powder. Instructor Ju Qi tells the students about the beast line, explaining that many wild beasts have sharp senses and will avoid areas where there's a burnt smell. When some students boast they aren't afraid, Ju warns them that beasts who eat dead scourges might mutate or evolve. He's even encountered a mutated bear before. He reminds them that although they're camping together now, during missions they might end up operating alone or with just one teammate. Later, as everyone sits around the fire, a girl asks Luo Lin if she's ever experienced anything truly frightening. She recalls that the scariest time was when the Scourge Emperor attacked. She was just a student then. Luo Lin recalls that from several kilometers away, everyone could see the Scourge looming as tall as the mountain itself. It felt as if the entire peak was moving closer to the city. Now that city has become a wasteland, serving as a nest for the Scourge. Fortunately, all the citizens were evacuated in time. When a girl asks what rank the Disaster Emperor Beast was, Luo Lin replies that it was King rank. She explains that in that war, several super being leaders were lost, including the Dean of South City. At that moment, Zhang arrives and instructs the students to get some rest, reminding them that tomorrow they'll help clean up the battlefield. The next morning, the students wake up and are ordered to split into 10 squads based on their classes. Miao Lan steps forward, announcing she'll lead them in a light warm-up before breakfast. She takes responsibility for their safety, but warns that anyone who can't keep up will have to eat only steam bugs for breakfast. The students whisper among themselves, insisting that as super beings, they couldn't possibly be that weak. Miao adds that the assistant teacher will be at the rear, so anyone who can't keep up will have to fall in with them. Without further warning, she takes off, sprinting ahead. The students rush after her, quickly realizing how fast she is as she darts through the forest. She crosses the lake with ease, while behind her, students begin to stumble and fall out of the run one by one. After some time, only 4 manage to keep up: Ming, Mian, Liangdong, and Nian, who notes that our protagonist hasn't even broken a sweat. As they wait, 5 minutes later, the rest finally arrive, exhausted and sweating profusely. Seeing everyone gathered, the teacher insists they continue, though the tired students beg her to wait and give them a little more time to rest. After training, the students return to their spot and are told to rest since breakfast isn't ready yet. Nian comments on how quickly everyone has adapted to such intense morning drills, while Mian notes that they're among the city's best. Dong adds that most students who make it to South City rank within the top 1 to 3 of their own cities, mentioning his hometown. The others share theirs as well, and Nian realizes that Ming is actually her fellow citymate. Soon after, Dong announces that breakfast is ready, and they all head off to eat. After breakfast, Luo Lin reminds everyone of the route they ran earlier that morning. She tells them they'll be following it again, but this time they must search more carefully and push deeper into the area. She warns them not to leave any part unchecked. Scourge eggs could be hidden anywhere. If they spot any sign of the red-eyed scourge, they must not act alone. They should stay in their assigned zones, send a clear signal, and report directly to her or an assistant teacher. Then Dean Rong steps in, noting that their training results will count toward their grades, and urges them to give it their all. Spirits lift, and Dong asks Ming and the others to team up. Mian mentions that downstream of the river lies a place filled with shrubs. He had researched beforehand that red-eye scourges prefer wet, shrubby spots, much like snakes. The others praise his observation, admitting they were too focused on running to think of it, and agree to search that area. As the group ventures deeper into the forest, one guy complains about the shrubs. Nian tells everyone to bend down and use their hands, saying it's best not to rely on spirit techniques in the wild. Mian takes the lead, promising to face any danger ahead. Meanwhile, Nian asks our protagonist what he was about to say, and he explains that the instructor mentioned there might still be injured red-eye scourges nearby. If startled, not only could they expose the student's location, but they might also escape. Still, our boy believes the instructors have already scouted the area, which is why they're confident enough to send students here. When asked how he knows, Ming explains that the teachers have been on site since day one, familiarizing themselves with the route during the morning runs to ensure no one gets lost, then circling back to check the terrain while everyone rested. As they walk, Nian wonders why students are needed at all. Ming replies that scourge eggs are tiny and can only be found through careful human searching. Machines can't easily detect them, since the eggs resemble snake eggs. Nian nods in understanding, but he adds that he hadn't seen the instructors check this exact spot the night before. Suddenly, they spot a scourge, but it bolts away almost instantly. They regroup with the others and find countless eggs scattered nearby. Nian reports that they encountered a scourge that initially tried to attack but suddenly fled. When someone suggests chasing it, our hero explains that the creature has probably hidden itself deep in the thick shrubs, making it nearly impossible to track. He advises notifying the instructors so they can coordinate a safe search. Mian brushes off the warning, saying it's just an injured scourge and nothing serious. The others relax a bit, but Ming insists that the creature is cunning and dangerous, able to vanish anywhere in terrain like this, so they'll need more hands for safety. Mian mocks him for being overly cautious, asking how he'll ever survive the front lines, but reluctantly agrees when Nian backs him up. Since Ming is the fastest, he's chosen to send the signal. He does so, and soon a teacher arrives. Ming quickly reports that they've found an injured scourge. Suddenly, someone screams for help. The teacher calls for other assistance, shouting that a student is injured. Meanwhile, our boy darts back into the forest, confronting the scourge head-on and landing a punch on it right away. Ming is struggling with one scourge when another suddenly appears and lunges at him. He catches it, realizing he'd been too careless, but still manages to kill them both. The close call makes our boy suspect there might be a hidden scourge cave that the frontline members missed during their sweep. Hearing cries for help again, he rushes toward the sound and stops in a spot covered with vines. As he looks around, he discovers the supposed cries for help are actually being mimicked by the king scourge as a disguise. In moments, countless scourges surround him, and our protagonist knows he needs to deal with them quickly. He realizes the others were probably lured here by the same trick. While he's thinking, a scourge bites through the vines, causing him to fall into a large nest below. All around are countless eggs, making him realize the scourges must have hidden here during the earlier cleanup. Soon after, it begins to rain. Up on the cliff, Luolin stands watching as the fog thickens. A woman reports that a student has found a red-eye scourge nest and notes that rain and morning fog are normal in the mountains. Luolin, however, suddenly realizes this fog isn't natural and urgently orders all students to evacuate. Meanwhile, Meow and the others rush to the marked spot where a companion tells them Ming's group is still inside. Worried they might get separated, he suggests waiting. But Meow insists more people are coming and that evacuating the students comes first. Suddenly, a message comes through her walkie-talkie, ordering her to retreat from the bridge. She reports that students are trapped in the shrubs and that there's an injured red scourge nearby. Zhang urges her to go down and help, but she explains that an unknown disaster is approaching Xiao Ridge, and they've been ordered to retreat. When asked about this unknown disaster, she explains if it's ranked above 6, they must leave immediately, or risk a major tragedy. Luoqian steps forward, determined to go in and rescue them, and instructs the others to evacuate the remaining groups. They agree and withdraw. Afterward, she calls out for Ming. Inside the nest, our hero hears her voice and shouts back in response. Luoqian replies that the fog is too thick and she can't see him, while he warns her about the cut vines below. She tells him about the urgent evacuation, and explains that the fog might be the same disaster that happened at Shan Industrial Park, which was extremely dangerous. Ming says he's fine and promises to evacuate after saving any other students who might be lured into the nest by the red-eye scourge. Inside the nest, he looks at the king scourge and realizes all the traps and fake human cries were its doing. Converge. Inside the nest, he looks at the king scourge and realizes all the traps and fake human cries were its doing, confirming it as the leader. He mocks the creature for hiding behind its minions and waiting for him to get exhausted before attacking. Calling it cunning, Ming charges straight at the monster, leaps high and lands a powerful punch, slamming it down onto the eggs and shattering them all. The monster roars, its eyes glowing red as the other scourges close in around Ming. Unfazed, our boy smirks and tells them they can't stop him. Grabbing a vine, his hand glows green as he punches the ground. Instantly, vines burst from the earth, wrapping tightly around the smaller scourges. As he clenches his fist, the vines constrict even more, their pressure making the enemies roar in fear, so much that even the king scourge shudders. This time, the king scourge charges directly, but our protagonist meets it head-on, landing a powerful punch that sends the beast crashing into the wall. The blow is fatal. The leader collapses, lifeless, as Ming steps forward, his eyes now glowing blue. Using a vine, he climbs out of the nest, certain these eggs won't survive to become the next generation. He understands the true danger. Scourge eggs are part of the A-line's body, and when exposed to rainwater, they transform into disaster fog. All of Xiao Ridge is filled with them, ready to unleash a massive rain-born mist. The red-eyed scourges are merely pawns. Their real purpose is to lay eggs and wait for the rain, which will trigger the birth of this terrifying white fog. Finally, Ming emerges from the nest, fully aware that if Xiao Ridge is swallowed by the white fog, no one will escape alive. Elsewhere, the students are running frantically, convinced the safety fence is just ahead. One of them insists it should be less than 200 meters away, yet they still haven't reached it. Wang urges everyone to keep going, assuring them they're almost there. But as the fog begins to thin, they realize they've been running in the wrong direction. The fog is creating illusions, making them disoriented and trapping them in endless circles. Yuan panics, declaring they're doomed, and remembers his brother's warning about the white fog incident. The others agree, saying it's real. Once inside, it feels like being cut off in another world. One student recalls a terrifying rumor. At Shu Industrial Park, when the fog finally cleared, every survivor inside had vanished without a trace. Panic sets in as they cry out, insisting they're too young to die. Meanwhile, at the safety fence, workers insist it's right in front of the students and wonder how they could possibly have gone the wrong way. One worker calls out, urging them to come quickly. A guy suggests going to check, while a girl proposes tying a rope to him so he won't get lost. They agree and tell him to scream or tug the rope if he runs into trouble. The boy steps into the fog, but after walking what feels like 200 meters, he doesn't answer their shouts. The group, gripped by fear, yells to pull him back. When they reel in the rope, it comes back empty. The boy has vanished without a trace. Inside the fog, Ming encounters others as Dong wonders why it appeared so suddenly, saying they were nearly lost. When Ming asks why they didn't leave with him, Nian explains he heard a girl scream and thought someone was in danger. Our boy warns them that the Red Eye leader can mimic voices. A girl then confesses she did scream earlier, after stepping on a floating vine. He explains that the scourge copied her voice, so they need to be careful with any cries for help. Min steps forward, questioning why none of this was in the records, and why the frontline members hadn't discovered it. Luo Qian responds that the frontline did have suspicions, but there was never any evidence. Dong suggests contacting their instructors but finds his phone has no signal. Hearing this, our protagonist pulls out a special communication device, which makes Mian suspicious since only teachers are supposed to have one. Ignoring him, Ming activates the device and connects to Luo Lin. She tells them that all outside connections are down. He asks about the students, and she explains that half have been evacuated, but many are still trapped in the fog. Ming argues she should have escaped while she had the chance, but Luo Lin insists she stayed behind to guide others out, asking him to trust her. She confirms that inside the fog, even official devices can't connect to the outside. As they talk, our hero shares his discovery. The white disaster fog is produced when red-eyed scourge eggs react with rainwater, releasing a gas that mixes with the moisture in the air to create the fog. Llewellyn reacts with surprise, saying this is solid proof and might give them some hope. She adds that the Bug Research Center once lost a giant human-faced centipede, the only creature known to survive the fog. They tried to capture it, but it escaped. It was said that this creature loved scourge eggs, and she guesses it ate a large amount and, after mutating, gained the ability to move freely through the fog. Ming asks if the human-faced centipede also eats scourge eggs. Llewellyn explains that the eggs are poisonous, and only centipedes can digest them safely. She adds that according to their last tracking data, the large human-faced centipede was spotted in the sewers, meaning it's probably inside the fog right now. Realizing that finding this creature might be their only way out, our boy nods, and Luo Lin agrees. Soon, Zhang arrives with the rest of the group. Dong, relieved to see their teacher, asks what they should do next. Zhang admits that escaping this disaster may not be possible because the fog's isolating power is beyond even what astronomical studies can explain. The students whisper among themselves, terrified they'll be trapped forever. Dong mentions he's heard horrifying rumors about the fog, but Zhang reminds them that outsiders have no idea what happens inside, so rescue from beyond isn't an option. Our protagonist steps forward, urging everyone not to lose hope, revealing that he's already discussed a plan with Commander Luo Lin. Luo Qian confirms this through the communication device. Ming then orders everyone to hurry, before whatever lurks in the fog appears, by gathering as many unhatched scourge eggs as they can. Min protests, not understanding why they're collecting these useless things, and another student agrees, saying now isn't the time to worry about points. Ming explains that the eggs are crucial. They'll use them to lure the centipede, which may be their only hope of escaping. After hearing the plan, everyone hesitates, but our hero insists they can't give up. Zhang agrees, and Ming asks both the teacher and Luo Qian to search for any missing students, cautioning them not to get lost in the fog. Since Mian is the most knowledgeable about the eggs, he puts him in charge of leading the group, with Nian's help, to collect as many as possible to attract the giant centipede. When the teacher asks what he'll do, Ming replies that there's something inside the fog he needs to handle. Dong immediately looks frightened, while Nian warns everyone that there really is something terrifying out there. She recalls the time, on their way to school, when the train stopped at the fog's edge and everyone who encountered the creature was killed. She urges everyone to be extremely careful and avoid anything they see in the fog at all costs. The group agrees, bracing themselves for what's ahead. Luo Qian and the teacher head off in a direction they haven't searched before, while Mian leads the others in gathering scourge eggs. Nian warns everyone to stay alert and not to get lost in the fog. Meanwhile, Ming makes his way through the forest as Luo Lin switches the communication channel, calling for all combat group members to report in. The instructor team, Qinghe, Miaolan, Jingxing, Fangwen, and Guoming, respond, along with our boy himself. Miao, wandering through the forest as well, recognizes his name and is surprised to learn he's one of the members, recalling he was the student who didn't even break a sweat after the morning sprint. Someone suggests using the monster destruction device. Luo Lin monitors the fog within a 3-kilometer radius, but notes that so far, no monsters have appeared. Our protagonist wonders aloud why that is, just as the monitoring screen suddenly lights up, showing 3 locations with monster activity. Luo Lin says that just a few seconds before, there was no sign of monsters and wonders how they could appear so quickly. Ming asks which direction they came from, but the answer is unsettling. They didn't come from any direction. They simply appeared, as if teleported. Suddenly, Luo Lin panics and warns Fang that a large scourge is right beside her. Fang steps back, only to find herself face to face with a giant, spider-like scourge. She reacts instantly, attacking with her weapon, but to her shock, the creature doesn't seem affected at all. The monster charges, but Fang manages to dodge and sprints for her life. As she runs, she realizes the commander's analysis was correct. These creatures really are appearing out of nowhere. She suspects the fog might be connected to some kind of devil's gate. From the camp, Luo Lin urgently orders her to get out of the forest immediately, letting her know that Ju Qi is on the way to provide backup. Fang continues to flee but quickly realizes she's being chased by a master-rank, spider-like scourge. She pushes herself to run faster, admitting she's no match for such a creature. Luo Lin shouts that Fang is heading in the wrong direction, but the young woman only closes her eyes and replies softly that she knows. She tells everyone to take care of themselves. The commander watches the screen in agony as Fang's signal suddenly disappears. She's been devoured, her very existence erased from the radar. Overwhelmed by helplessness, Luo Lin's eyes fill with tears. Luo Lin warns Ming that the monsters are appearing out of nowhere, and there are many of them. She alerts him that some are behind him as well. In the forest, as the monsters attack, our hero acknowledges it's possible, since he just checked his rear. Suddenly, a horde of monsters appears, chasing after him. He doesn't take them too seriously, since they're only servant rank, and charges forward. With a single slash, he wipes them out, taunting them to bring more. He continues punching them one after another, killing them instantly. Then, the young fighter unleashes his shadow fists. Blue energy radiates around him as the monsters fall dead. More rush at him, but with one punch he slams them all down, eliminating the entire group. He punches the ground hard, wondering if he's disturbed their nest, as even more start emerging. Luo Lin informs him that these scorpion tail flies he's fighting can't be completely killed. He asks what they should do since it seems the flies can track his scent. She shares her observations. All these scorpion tail flies are coming from the same direction, his southern side, likely from an insect nest, and they're swarming toward him from there. As he keeps fighting, the protagonist remarks there are already over 10 attacking him at once, and asks if the nest holds hundreds more. Luo Lin says she only saw a few red dots on the radar, but right around him, it looks like an insect factory producing endless swarms. Every time he wipes out a batch, another emerges instantly. Ming wonders how they're multiplying so quickly, saying that despite killing so many, more keep coming. If left unchecked, the whole valley will be overrun within hours. Luo Lin agrees, warning that once a disaster fly army forms, they'll devour not only humans, but even the grass, leaving nothing behind. She admits they underestimated them. These scourges are far tougher than expected. She tells him that the gathering camp is behind the valley and urges him to retreat, while she guards the valley herself. She adds that other instructors are facing similar threats and she has to guide them as well. Our boy tells her not to worry, insisting she leave the valley to him. But Luo Lin objects, reminding him that even though he's from Dragonfang, he's still just a student. She apologizes for placing such a burden on him as the official's representative, but praises his talent and asks him to promise he'll survive. Our protagonist fights on, declaring that he's already grateful the instructor stayed behind for them. He charges into the swarm, punching and battling countless monsters. As he pushes forward, he discovers a glowing hole in the ground. It's the insect nest factory Luo Lin described. More scourges pour out as his eyes glow purple and his hands swirl with energy. Feeling the dense wind, Ming thanks his old classmate Kai for helping him master this move, and gets ready to charge into the heart of the nest. Ming enters the hole and is confronted by an entirely different world. His eyes widen as he sees cliffs everywhere, with thousands of scourges and their eggs scattered across them. Spider-like scourges wander about, weaving webs and laying eggs. Near a stone, a giant scourge clings until a towering red dragon seizes it in its jaws. The dragon's eyes glow gold as its wings whip up gusts, flying wildly across the chaotic scene. As our hero stands frozen, the massive dragon swoops down toward him. He nearly gets spotted but manages to hide in time, though the scorpion tail scourges catch sight of him and charge. Suddenly, the goddess's voice erupts in his mind, calling him crazy for coming to such a place and urging him to get out immediately. Ming stands in awe, struggling to make sense of his surroundings as she continues to push him to leave. Snapping back to his senses, our boy rushes to escape. The goddess emerges from his body, declaring she will handle the insect nest and ordering him to get out at once. She unleashes a starlight burst flame, and he escapes through the hole just as it vanishes behind him. At that same moment, Fang's body is taken over by the same monstrous woman Ming had fought before. Elsewhere, a group of students wander, unsure of where to go in the fog. Suddenly, a figure appears above them. Fang, now fused with the monster, steps forward. The students, relieved to see their instructor, believe they're finally saved and recount their terrifying encounters with scourges. But when she doesn't respond, Fang suddenly opens her mouth in a grotesque way and bites into a student. The group realizes in horror that she isn't their instructor and panic ensues. The monstrous lady catches many of them, though 2 girls manage to get away. Jin, however, is wounded by a sharp branch and collapses. Her friend urges her to get up, but after a few steps, Jin says she can't go on, blood pouring from her wound. The monster's hair snakes across the ground, seizing both girls tightly, and moments later, the creature disappears into the fog again. Back at the camp, Luo Lin notices Fang's blue dot on the radar and urgently calls for her to respond, telling her to keep moving forward, and that she'll meet Ming. Another instructor interjects, saying Fang is dead. They saw her blue dot vanish, indicating her life force is gone. Luo Lin questions if the device malfunctioned, but insists Fang is their teammate and might still be alive, so they can't abandon her. She adds that device errors are extremely rare, though something feels off. The other instructor argues that it's impossible, and wonders why the fog would even affect the tracker this way. They agree to remain cautious and decide to warn our protagonist to be careful. But just as they turn back to the radar, they see his blue dot disappearing as well. Luo Lin shouts a warning to Ming, telling him that the person approaching isn't the real instructor, and is being controlled by something. She pleads for him to listen, emphasizing that the thing coming toward him is extremely dangerous. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, our protagonist sits on the ground as the goddess tells him he's lucky to have woken up in time. Otherwise, he would have lost his soul. She explains that this world is filled with countless unknowns, far beyond what humans have ever witnessed. Ming admits it felt as if he'd glimpsed true hell. The goddess reassures him, saying that once he grows stronger, such things will no longer frighten him. Our hero steadies himself, saying he may have been shaken, but he's not afraid. He checks his communication device and realizes it's been damaged by his own carelessness. Soon after, Fang appears before him, and he expresses relief that she's alive. She claims to be injured and asks him to help her reach the gathering area. He agrees, but notices blood streaming from her eyes and questions it. Fang quickly brushes it off, insisting it's just a wound and urging him to help since he must be exhausted. But Ming observes something odd. Her shoes aren't wet. To reach him, she would have had to cross the river, and in her state, she couldn't have made it across the stones without getting wet. Suddenly, Fang lunges at him, slashing with sharp claws. Our boy dodges, admitting he expected this, and the lady monster reveals her true form. He recognizes her instantly as the same demon from the train station. It dawns on him that when she devoured the train attendant, it wasn't just to kill her, but to impersonate her and board the train unnoticed. The real instructor Fang is already dead. This monster must have devoured her too and taken her form. He realizes that if not for glimpsing her red eyes, he might have been fooled. The monster sneers that the instructor was delicious, and hearing her mimic Fang's voice fills him with rage. He vows never to forgive her. She charges at him, saying she won't go easy on him this time, and that Ming ruined her plans. Now she'll eat him until nothing remains. She attacks relentlessly, her hair slamming the ground while our hero dodges with ease. He notes that her attack style is similar to the demon ghost tree from the instructor's room. Thanks to recent training, he knows he must find an opening in her barrage to counterattack. As another of her attacks fails, Ming realizes he needs a suitable medium for his spirit fist. The demon readies her next attack, mockingly thanking the instructor for making her stronger. With insane power, she slams her hair around, scattering trees and stones, but still fails to touch him. She boasts she'll become even more powerful once she eats him. Ming grabs some sand as he dodges once more, and the monster taunts that his blood vessels must taste delicious. He calculates that to unleash his secret art, he must strike her at least 49 times. Ming realizes that close combat is extremely dangerous, and that he would already be dead if not for his luck. In this situation, ordinary sand is useless. He needs a stronger medium to unleash his mysterious fist. The lady monster attacks our hero again, but he dodges her blow. At the same time, he is thinking about how he can eradicate her. Earlier, in the training session, he remembers the instructor talking about obsidian, which is 10 times tougher than their average mineral, and recalling the location of the obsidian mine as well. He also remembers that there is a withering tree near that mine. So he charges toward that place, jumping from tree to tree, and eventually finds the obsidian mine. Meanwhile, the lady monster is still following him, telling him that she is going to kill him very soon. Ming picks up the obsidian rocks in his fists, now ready to attack her. On the other hand, the creature who is standing behind him challenges our hero, saying he can't kill her with those fists. Suddenly, Ming strikes the ground with his fist, with the obsidian stones in his hand, challenging her to endure this attack. These stones make their way through the ground, reach her, and, in crystal form, emerge from the ground. Tearing through her flesh, they enter her body. Ming, standing in front of her, now repeats the words he said earlier, that he is never going to forgive her. Meanwhile, the lady monster is still in shock, trying to figure out what happened. He explains that it does not matter how strong she is in her monster kingdom. If they ever try to enter the human territory, he is going to wipe out every last one of them. At this moment, the demonic monster yells that he can't escape the mists alive, and that his death is already written here. Suddenly, blood starts dripping out of her nose, while our protagonist stands there, watching her die right in front of him. As the lady monster dies, she falls to the ground, and a shining crystal stone appears out of her wound. Our hero tries to understand what this is, thinking that it might be the one said to have the ability to grant and alter another superpower. The goddess is also shocked to see the life drop and explains to Ming that this Azure Moon demonic mother is actually a high-level calamity beast. While looking at the monitor screen for information, she explains further that the beast was still in its growing age when he killed it. Meanwhile, Ming, reaching out for the life drop, explains that this fight was not like the last one. It seemed like she had grown stronger than before, as he almost died at her hands. The goddess explains that this is the most terrifying part about these intelligent, growing types of monsters. If they had delayed a little longer, she could have grown into the Azure Moon demonic matriarch. Our hero, looking at the life drop, says this explains the reason behind such a precious life drop. The goddess, stretching out her body, asks him to hand her the life drop so she can purify it, because there is still a scent of the calamity beasts from the stars, and for this reason, he cannot use it yet. He is about to give the crystal stone to her, but he suddenly stops to ask whether she is also going to rely on his personal growth. He also adds that he thinks she is far better than the Azure Moon demonic mother. The goddess calmly claims that the Azure Moon demon is nothing compared to her, and she reminds him of the agreement they made earlier. If he succeeds in convincing her, then she will help him too. But first, he has to show her the beauty and meaning of human existence. Since they are quite close to reaching their agreement, there is still some way to go before he succeeds in changing her views. Here, Ming clarifies how the goddess is going to help him in the future. She will back him up until he becomes powerful enough to eradicate the supreme universal will when it descends upon humanity. She reminds him of the promise they made earlier, which is that she will get his growth, and he will rely on her for her strength. As our hero is about to tell her what he saw earlier on the other side of the portal, she interrupts him, saying it seems like he does not believe in himself, teasing him. But Ming, with a straight face, claims he does believe in himself. While sitting on the stairs, the goddess advises him to forget what he saw earlier. She also agrees that this place is gross and animal-like compared to his world, and thus she does not like it much. Ming then hands her the life drop, since this is the promise between them. Moving forward, our protagonist is standing where the lady monster died, and Fang's dead body is lying in front of him, as the creature devoured her body after killing her. He then picks up her body and carries it on his back, starting to walk. On the other hand, Luo Lin is trying to reach out to him, asking whether he can hear her. He asks her to give him further orders since he can hear her clearly. She asks him about Fang Qing, so he answers that he is carrying her to the camping grounds. She asks for confirmation of her death, so our hero explains that she is dead, but he does not want to leave her among all these monsters. Lin further asks about his well-being, since she also saw the monster lady controlling Fang earlier. He explains that it was the Azure Moon demonic mother, who has the ability to devour and gain the abilities of others, but he has killed it. Hearing this, she sighs in relief. He then asks about the eggs, because they need to get out of there as quickly as possible, since he has seen a terrifying sight before, and once those creatures descend upon them, it will mean the death of all humanity. Luo Lin claims they are getting closer to their destination, and she also notifies him that the path he is heading toward is clear. A group of 3 men who seems like some villagers are walking in a line along a grassy path, each carrying a few bags of demon eggs on their backs, and they are visibly exhausted. One of them asks Shu, who is walking in front, why they haven't reached the village yet. In a fit of anger, Shu turns around and punches him in the head, blaming him since it was his idea to go and steal the demon eggs for money. The boy, crying, claims that even though they got lost in the fog, they have collected a good number of eggs. Shu adds that if they don't succeed in getting back, they might get into big trouble. As they are arguing, their third companion claims someone is following them. Shu turns around again and yells at him to stop being crazy. The other 2 get scared and point at something behind his back. When he turns, they all notice mysterious things moving toward them and start screaming in fear. It turns out to be Commander Lin and the other members. Moving forward, Professor Zhang asks whether they are villagers, while Luo Lin tries to figure out what these men are doing out here. Shu and his friends sigh in relief when they realize they had mistaken the group for demons. She explains that no one is allowed to enter the mountain according to a notice, so it seems these men have not received it yet. The guy behind Shu explains they only wanted to earn a little money. Zhu interrupts and starts explaining the reason behind them being on the mountain. He says that earlier in the day, they learned about the price of demon eggs, which is hundreds of times more than a regular egg, and heard about the complete eradication of the demons, so they decided to look for these eggs. The professor wonders if all the eggs in their bags are really demon eggs. Zhu and his fellows, while putting the bags in front of them, claim to have 3 bags full. Chong gets very excited and orders the others to hurry back to camp, saying these eggs will be enough for them. He then asks Lin about the whereabouts of Luo Qian. Lin tells him about the mark she saw earlier made by Qian, and that it seems Qian is looking for the last group of lost students. With that mark, she also explained she would meet them at the mountain base in an hour. The professor suggests finding her first and then going back to camp together. Assistant Lu points in another direction and commands the villagers to follow them. Now, everyone moves together to find Luo Qian and the other students. One of the villagers asks the professor if they are actually superhumans. He explains that it seemed like something was following them the whole time, and he wants them to check the area to make sure they are safe. Hearing this, Lu reports she just checked the area and found nothing, but Zhang orders another check for safety. Meanwhile, Luo Qian is barging toward a house to find the lost students. When she opens the door, they all attack her, thinking she might be a demon, but then get very excited when they realize she is actually Qian. She checks if anyone is injured, but instead of answering, they start yelling that something horrible was chasing them a moment ago. Qian orders them to follow her so they can return to the main camp and leave the fog soon. All the students thank her for saving them. While walking through the cave, they reach the bamboo forest, and now all they have to do is follow the markings on the trees to meet the professor and others. In her excitement, she suggests everyone stay as close as possible to be safe. Suddenly, she realizes something and alerts everyone to look above. A dozen red-eyed spiders are charging toward them, but Qian, with a single attack, kills them all. The students praise her bravery, and one of them comments that it was difficult for them to kill even one red-eyed spider earlier, while she killed a dozen alone. They are all very happy to be with her, saying they feel safe around her. As they discuss this, Professor Zhang and the others arrive. The students run to him asking about the fog and the frightening things inside it. One of them mentions having seen a student taken by a demon earlier, but as far as they know, all the demons in Shaoling have been wiped out. Qian explains that these creatures appear by another means in the mist, and for now, they have to leave before stronger demons arrive. She also tells them they have found a way out of the mist. The professor encourages them, saying they are not ordinary students, but superheroes. He tells them that whatever they have faced so far is what every superhuman on the front lines will experience, and to win, they must pull themselves together and stay brave. He orders everyone to keep moving forward, as they are close to their destination. As they proceed, they find heaps of demon bodies lying around. While trying to understand how the demons were killed, Instructor Miao Lan appears, standing on a dead body, showing she is the one who cleared out the area. She tells them to hurry to the camp, as everyone is waiting there. Qian asks if she is all right, noticing the visible wounds, but Miao assures her it's nothing, and she just needs a little rest. Suddenly, a spider monster appears behind her, attacking Miao and driving its pointy spike through her stomach. The attack is so sudden that the instructor has no time to respond, and her magical weapon falls to the ground. The spider is about to devour her while everyone looks terrified and calls out for her. The villagers and other students try to run, but the demon throws its web, trapping them completely. In the chaos, someone yells that it seems like this was all a planned trap to catch them. One of the villagers points at the monster, saying it is the same one he saw earlier. Liu cannot believe that if it was really following them, it did not attack sooner. The professor explains the demon was waiting for them to gather as a group so it could kill them all at once, just as an anteater does with its prey. Qian asks him about it, and Zhang explains that an anteater, even when hungry, does not eat the ants right away. Instead, it follows them quietly until they reach the nest, then wipes out the entire nest. This is because ants communicate, and if one is attacked, the others will escape. Qian realizes that this was the demon's plan all along, to gather everyone and eat them at once. Zhang agrees with her. In anger, Qian notes that it is strange the monster attacked them before they reached the camp, which means it knows that stronger humans are at the camp. As she says this, she marches toward the creature, declaring that since it fears humans, it is not impossible to defeat it. Qian is determined to kill the demon alone, instructing Zhang and Teacher Liu to help the other students out of the spider web. Although she is strong enough to fight the monster, Commander Liu remains worried about her. Moving forward, the young warrior engages in battle against the gigantic spider, while the professor and others work to free the trapped students. At the same time, Zhang silently hopes she will save them, since Qian is the most promising student of Nandu's Superhuman Institute. While fighting, she also analyzes the demon's combat techniques, as it relentlessly attacks with its gigantic claws that repeatedly emerge from the ground. Suddenly, Qian finds herself in a danger zone, surrounded by the spider's spikes embedded throughout the ground, and she appears visibly terrified. As the claws burst from the earth, Liu is so frightened that she says this might not have been a good idea. But suddenly, Qian leaps clear of the spikes. The professor urges everyone to hurry and have faith in her combat skills. Finally, she executes the Thunderhawk's attack directly above the spider's stomach, tearing its flesh. While the spider demon is still struggling to recover, Qian strikes again with her weapon. Now seriously injured, the monster begins to spit a dangerous purple substance from its mouth, which turns out to be acid rain. In that instant, Zhang yells her name, urging her to run to him. He quickly forms a magical shield to protect everyone from the harmful acid. Now that Qian is behind him, the professor informs her that only half of the students have been freed so far, and she responds by reporting that she has injured the Skull Widow, which means they now have a slight chance to escape. Zhang apologizes, explaining that he can only protect them with the shield and cannot fight the demon himself. She assures him that protecting her companions is her duty as well. Meanwhile, a horde of spiders approaches, causing the students to scream in terror. However, instead of attacking, the creatures begin eating the flesh of the dead demons, which disgusts everyone. Even Instructor Liu, in complete shock, tries to understand why they are eating their own kind. After cleaning off their brother's flesh, all the spiders march toward the Skull Widow, which is now consuming them. As a result, its lost legs start regrowing and its wounds begin to heal. The demon is eating them to heal itself, and everyone is left completely astonished. The professor realizes that if the monster heals completely, Qian's efforts will have been in vain. To prevent this, he and the instructor begin motivating the students once again to work together and support her, since they are all superhumans. However, the students remain overwhelmed by terror. Here she suggests not to blame them, explaining that the Skull Widow is a top-tier, Lord-rank demon with a fearsome aura. For the students, the demon has planted seeds of fear in their minds, and is now feeding on that fear. Only someone with Sunblaze strength can resist, and since the students have not yet reached that rank, it is impossible for them to overcome it. As they consider their options, Qian asks Zhang if there is a way to break out of the spider web. He admits that even though he has a solution, some students are still trapped inside, and they cannot leave them behind. Since the demon can heal itself, killing it will not be easy. She suggests they should take the freed students and leave, while she stays behind and finds a way to hold off the monster. The professor is worried for her, knowing that after their departure, all the demons will likely surround Qian, which does not seem wise. She interrupts him, saying she has her own plan, and that it is her choice to make. Turning to him with a smile, the brave warrior assures him that it is her duty as well. She believes her classmates will grow up one day and help their fellow students in the future. As she walks toward the demon, Qian says she believes they too will stand up and fight the monsters. Instructor Liu, while freeing the students, reports that the Skull Widow has devoured most of the spider demons, which means it is not only healing, but its strength is also increasing. Qian begins to float in the air, using her powers to fight against the demon. Meanwhile, Zhang and Liu work together to help the students escape. To everyone's shock, the other students start attacking the spider demons as well, declaring that they are also students of the Superhumans Institute and will not sit and wait for death while fear overtakes their minds. Moving forward, Luo channels the ultimate soul art with all her strength, and everyone watches her with hope. The whole area becomes foggy due to the smoke produced by the earlier attack, and now they can't see the Skull Widow. She has landed on the ground and is waiting for the smoke to disperse. Suddenly, the Skull Widow attacks, trapping her in its web, which she soon realizes is actually an illusion. The demonic spider repeatedly calls the humans ants. While trying to free herself, Qian yells that they are not ants. In response, the demon sneers that in front of demons, all humans are the universe's pests, and that they feed on pests like them. On the other side, Zhang has opened a way out, and everyone is walking through it one by one, visibly excited. However, both he and Liu remain deeply worried about Qian, as they realize the demon has taken control of her mind. They call out, warning her to watch out for the monster approaching again. Meanwhile, all the students in control of her mind. They call out, warning her to watch out for the monster approaching again. Meanwhile, all the students have crossed to the other side, with only them being left behind. Liu reports that the web is recovering, meaning they have to hurry, and she suggests that the professor leave as soon as possible because the students still need his guidance. Now both are hoping Luo will find a way out, as she can only rely on herself. With heavy hearts, they finally step through the passage, praying for her as the spiderweb seals the way behind them again. On the other side, Luo argues with the demon, insisting that humans are not merely pests before a cannibal creature that eats its own kind to heal. She claims humanity is far better than monsters like it. As proof, she says she can even sacrifice herself for her friends, while monsters like the Skull Widow only devour their own flesh, which she finds disgusting. The Skull Demon tries tries to manipulate her, asking how they can be her friends when they've left her behind, but she denies this, saying it was her own choice. The monster replies that leaving her behind to save their own lives was their choice too. It continues, saying they will live peacefully, fully aware that they abandoned her, and soon she will be devoured by its children, leaving only her bones behind. As for her soul, it will remain trapped there for eternity. Luo shouts that it can't trap her and that she will free herself soon. The skull demon interrupts her, claiming that even though her willpower is strong, she is still human. And isolation is one of humanity's greatest weaknesses. Humans fear being alone, a belief taught to them by others. The creature adds that time moves very slowly in this world, so eventually all her beliefs will become meaningless, as she'll have plenty of time to think about her sad reality. It laughs and conjures old memories where she is surrounded by people complimenting her beauty and intellect. The monster keeps tormenting her, saying that everyone she knows pretends to treat her well, but in truth, they keep their distance because they don't like her and think she is deceitful and dishonest. Luo remembers how everyone calls her perfect, while secretly she wraps bandages all over her body. As it reminds her of the people who once mattered to her, the Skull Widow encourages her to think as much as she wants, since time passes very slowly here. Meanwhile, on Zhong's side, our protagonist arrives and begins trying to break through the web as soon as he learns what has happened to Qian. The professor tries to stop him, and everyone is shocked to realize that the one who appeared is Ming He. Zhong warns him not to go, reminding him that the demon is Lord rank and he hasn't even reached Sunblaze rank. Fighting it would be suicidal, as the Skull Widow can paralyze him with fear. But our hero yells that such fear is nothing compared to the terror of losing someone precious. With that, Ming dashes toward the place where the monster and Luo Qian are fighting. He then tears off the spider web with his bare hands and walks through the passage, while Assistant Liu and the professor are still trying to stop him. At that moment, Liu tries to contact Commander Luo to report their condition. Professor Zhong explains that Instructor Miao Lan was killed by the Skull Widow earlier in the day, while Liu managed to secure her communicator. As he is about to explain further, Luo Lin interrupts, saying she is already aware of their situation and has sent a member of Dragontooth to help, who will arrive soon. Just to clarify, they ask whether she means that organization whose members are even stronger than their instructors. Liu reports that they haven't seen any Dragontooth commander except for the student Ming, who ran past them earlier. Both suddenly stop in shock, beginning to wonder if Ming might actually be the Dragontooth commander. But they find it hard to believe that a newcomer could belong to such a renowned force. They can't seem to accept that he might be part of the special forces. Luolin then orders Professor Zhang to take all the students safely back to the campsite. Meanwhile, Ming stands some distance away, calling out Qian's name. As he runs toward her, demon spiders rush to attack, but he counters with full force, shouting that they should all go to hell. After killing them, our hero charges the Skull Widow, declaring that he'll tear it apart if anything happens to Luo Qian. He punches the demon with the violent fist of anger, knocking the monster onto its back. When it tries to escape, Ming unleashes the star-marked galactic fists, an enormous barrage of blows pounding the creature as he repeats his furious threat that they should all go to hell. The Skull Widow, now on the verge of death, lies crushed beneath the impact as Ming approaches. The remaining spider demons crawl toward their queen in an attempt to heal her, but he crushes them under his feet before delivering the final strike, another devastating star-marked galactic fist. As his fists slam into the ground, the monster is driven deep into the earth and dies. At that moment, Luo regains consciousness, about to collapse, but Ming catches her in time. He tries to rouse her while she remains lost in a daze, feeling as if she's falling from a great height, but caught by someone she cannot recognize. Carrying her on his back, our protagonist heads toward the camp. There, Instructor Ju Qi comes running to meet them, reporting that all the students have returned safely. He's also impressed that Ming killed the monster himself, remarking that otherwise, the creature would have suffered a brutal death anyway. Ming, looking at Qian, explains that she had already mortally wounded the demon. He merely finished what she started. For now, though, her soul is damaged, and her condition doesn't look promising. Instructor Ju examines her and says there's a chance she could remain in a vegetative state for the rest of her life. But Ming insists he heard her muttering before collapsing and believes in her recovery. Ju Qi then suggests returning to camp and, while walking, asks whether the commander has informed him about his second mission. Ming replies that she already briefed him when they entered the mountain range. Ju asks if anyone witnessed him fighting the Skull Widow. Ming answers that the others only saw him enter the area, not the battle itself, and wonders if that's a problem. The instructor admits that when Luo Lin first recommended Ming for their team, he was uncertain, but now he's glad to have him among them. Our hero looks puzzled by Ju's words, so the man introduces himself as Instructor Ju Qi, squad leader of Dragoontooth's Southern Division. Hearing this, Ming is stunned. Ju goes on to explain that as members of Dragoontooth, they must keep their identities secret, using Ming as an example, a student of Nandu by day, a Dragoontooth operative by night. The squad leader also asks for forgiveness, since killing the Skull Widow was originally his task, but he let Ming handle it because he didn't want to deplete his own strength. He asks whether Ming holds a grudge, but the young warrior stays silent. Ju continues, explaining about the demons, saying the gigantic centipede is their key to escaping the mist, but it doesn't always cooperate. That's why he completely trusts Commander Luo for that mission. The instructor praises Ming, saying he's conserving his power for the greater risks ahead. As for the centipede, it has already undergone 2 stages of mutation, first in the sewers of Lanyang, and the second time in the mist of Xishan, which means its level is now close to Lord rank, making it a calamity beast. Ming agrees that the dangers ahead will be far greater, and affirms his trust in both Commander Luo and Ju's leadership. Squad leader Ju, smiling, thanks him for his understanding. While walking, our hero inquires about their next mission. Squad leader Ju explains that for the moment, his main priority is to keep secret the fact that Ming is a member of Dragoontooth. He asks why, and Ju reveals that they have received information suggesting that some members of Heavenly Sovereignty are hiding within the Nandu Institute. This revelation leaves him in shock. Ju further explains that it is Dragontooth's main duty to eradicate the malignant Heavenly Sovereignty, which is also the main reason they accepted Ming. Dr. Zhao, whom our boy met earlier in Lanyang, is an ordinary member of Heavenly Sovereignty, but he tried to use his work to gain faith and genuine recognition within their ranks. The young man can hardly believe that setting free a dangerous calamity, which in turn brought danger to the city and humanity, is considered work required to enter the faith. Hearing this, Instructor Ju replies that they actually take pride in doing such things, and since Ming has met Zhao Shuhua, he must know about his madness. He recalls his interaction with Zhao, who claimed that all of it was merely an experiment. Our protagonist wonders if there are more spies like him within the Institute, but instead of answering, Ju asks his thoughts on the mist calamity. Thinking it over, Ming answers that it does not seem like a man-made disaster. Rather, it appears to be a natural catastrophe. Moreover, if their trainees had mishandled things, the calamity could have turned into a massive disaster in the very heart of the superhuman's home. Above all, Heavenly Sovereignty cannot truly defeat the strongest superhumans. Ju adds that if those superhumans are suppressed during their growth period, then in 10 years there will not be enough trained defenders left to face future threats. It is Nandu Institute's mission to send a large group of superhumans into society every year. Students like our hero and Qian are the true pillars of humanity's future, and their deaths in the mist calamity would have been a victory for their enemies. He apologizes for having misunderstood them. The squad leader continues, explaining that this is a battle between humanity and demons. The core reason for the conflict is that humans possess survival instincts, while their enemies have killing instincts, and in war, these creatures are as intelligent as humans, making the fight difficult. As they climb the mountain towards the camp, Ming promises that he will definitely uncover who has been manipulating the mist calamity all this time. Ju warns that the enemy's agent could be anyone, a teacher or even a fellow student. For this reason, he advises the young man to keep a close eye on everyone at Nandu Institute and to continue hiding his identity as a member of Dragoontooth, telling him he must not reveal it to anyone. While glancing at Qian, Ju adds that this secrecy includes his little girlfriend too. Ming assures him that she was unconscious the whole time and therefore has no idea what happened earlier. As they reach the campsite, Ju, just to be sure, asks whether any of the students or teachers saw him killing the demon. Then the instructor explains the plan. He will take credit for killing the Skull Widow and saving Luo Qian, as per the organization's plan, and our protagonist will be compensated with an even greater reward. He gets excited, hoping the reward is cash. Now, Assistant Liu and the others are waving at them, and as Ju waves back, he laughs and assures the boy that money is just a part of the reward. Everyone is worried about Qian and crowds around, asking if he was the one who saved her. Assistant Liu holds out her hands to help support the unconscious Luo, while Ming explains that he only managed to hold off the demon for a while, and then Instructor Ju came and killed the Skull Widow. Professor Zhang appears skeptical, as he saw the young man rushing in to save her earlier, so Ming clarifies that he was just acting impulsively out of concern, but stops himself before revealing their relationship. After a moment, he says she's simply his high school classmate. To convince them, our hero continues, saying that killing the Skull Widow would be impossible for a student like him, and Liu agrees, having said so earlier. Another student claims they heard he is a member of Dragoontooth, which seemed impossible to them, as they are only new trainees while Dragoontooth is an official organization that only accepts the best. His roommate interrupts, teasing that he's just his roommate and there's nothing special about him to be part of such an elite group. Returning to the task at hand, Ming asks if they have collected all the dragon eggs that were untouched by the rainwater. His roommate points to the mountain cliff, saying all the eggs are placed there, and now they are waiting for the mutant beast. As they talk, the mountain cliff starts to shake, signaling the creature's approach. Everyone is frightened, and our protagonist realizes this is the same beast that stopped the movie train before. The creature is so gigantic, it makes the whole mountain tremble. Instructor Ju stands at the edge, looking down and welcoming it as it approaches. The monster rises from the depths and now stands in front of the squad leader, visibly angry. The other students are terrified, wondering about the rank of such a huge monster, since it seems even more dangerous than the Skull Widow. Everyone tries to approach the cliff where the calamity is, but they can't move. Even our hero finds himself unable to advance, no matter how hard he tries. He soon realizes the cause is fear. He is too afraid to approach the calamity, subconsciously denying its power and doubting his own courage to defend himself if it attacks. Meanwhile, Juchi stands before the monster, showing no fear, as he has been waiting for this moment for a long time. He throws his hat and glasses to the ground and addresses the beast. His face begins to shine with magic as he yells that he will make the beast surrender, even if it costs his life. Yellow light emits from his eyes as he again shouts, "Command your surrender!" Suddenly, the monster falls silent and collapses on the cliff near the instructor. Witnessing this, Ming is shocked, realizing that Ju's mind control ability is truly extraordinary. He subdued a near Lord rank monster within seconds. Our protagonist rushes towards the cliff where the squad leader is standing. As he arrives, Ju, with his back to him, tells him that for now, everyone must fight for their own survival, something Ming doesn't fully understand. Ju turns around, blood streaming from his eyes, nose, and mouth. He declares that even though he is leaving, he has managed to save the next 10 years of humanity. Then he leaps from the mountain, while our boy shouts his name and runs after him, trying to stop him. Our protagonist reaches near the cliff, but it was already too late as the squad leader has fallen into the pit. Ming is calling for his name, but the instructor's eyes are slowly closing as he gets near to his death. While lying on his stomach on the edge of the cliff, our hero starts crying since he couldn't save his squad leader. On the other hand, the calamity beast has woken up, and it seems like it is trying to comfort him. While petting the creature, our boy asks himself whether this is the path of survival Ju Chi chose for them. He remembers on the way here clear, his leader told him a lot of things, but he didn't realize it earlier. While apologizing to him, Ming starts crying more than before. Moving forward, Commander Lin comes from behind and puts her hand on his shoulder. In visible anger, he swears he will definitely find the person behind all this. Lin hugs him and says they all believe in him. Now both are crying over Ju's death while hugging each other. Meanwhile, the Calamity Beast is flying around them. Moving forward, everyone on the camping grounds is either standing on the beast or looking at it while being terrified. Meanwhile, Ming and Commander Lin are standing on it above its head. After checking everyone has gotten on, Professor Zhang calls out that they're set to depart now. While getting near to its face, our protagonist orders the Calamity to get them out of the fog, and all of a sudden, it starts crawling as fast as it can. On the other side, by the foothills, the army and other superhumans are waiting for them, trying to contact the CP so they can get inside information about them. One of them also orders everyone to stay alert, so no one enters the fog anyhow. As they see the Calamity, their commander orders them to stay alert. When it stops near them, Lin introduces herself as Commander Luo Lin, and as for this giant creature, it is under their control. Assistant Liu is waving at other superhuman companions who are very excited to see them alive and out of the fog. Even Chief Peng, Nandu's chief of security, is also happy to see them alive. Now everyone is getting off the Calamity while Lin salutes her chief and reports she has successfully brought back all 346 students, so the chief inquires about the instructors. Hearing this, she gets a little sad but keeps on reporting that Qing He, Jing Xing, and Guo Min are alive and safe, but Fang Qing, Miao Lan, and Zhu Qi sacrificed their lives for the sake of this mission. The chief and other superhumans salute back to her for their bravery. Meng, who is the vice chairman, assures them the Nandu Institute will never forget those who sacrificed themselves for the betterment of the country. After a while, on the institute grounds, they are holding the funerals of the heroes, so everyone is there wearing black clothes. Meanwhile, on the stage, 3 people are standing, holding the photos of the instructors who died, while the speaker is addressing that these are the heroes who saved Nandu, so they deserve to be in everyone's memories forever. Now the persons holding the photos start walking, which is a ritual to send them off, while the speaker asks everyone to give huge respect to them. After completing it, the speaker is going to list out the students who made great contributions during their time within the fog. He then addresses the first one, who is the first-class honors student, but his name is anonymous, and appreciates him for all his accomplishments. All the students are trying to figure out who this student is who got mentioned even above the instructors. Meanwhile, our hero, who is that anonymous student, is just standing there without any visible reaction on his face. Now all the students are talking about the Dragon Tooth member who is present with them, so they think the anonymous student must be that person. Everyone is shocked by the fact that the student is not coming forward to take credit after doing such a big thing, as others think they would have bragged about it to everyone if they were in his place. Then the speaker calls out another name, Luo Qian, a second-class honor combat. One of her classmates congratulates her and appreciates her for being the pride of their class. Students are talking about Luo Qian now, that she stepped up to fight against the Lord-rank Calamity Beast to save others. All the boys are falling over her bravery and beauty, but like usual, Qian doesn't seem to like it. The speaker then calls out the third name, which is teaching assistant Liu Shu, a third-class rescue honors, and then calls out the new students who are Li Jin, Ming He, and Fang Nianrong, appreciating them for their supportive efforts. The speaker further explains that it seems like they all have gotten the idea of the horrors and cruelty of these monsters and the outside world. Moreover, whatever they faced in that fog is what every superhuman faces every day. They fight with all the creatures outside to protect humanity and make a safe place where people can survive and live. It is thanks to their sacrifices that others are able to enjoy all the happy moments of their lives. The speaker continues, saying they expect every student standing in the crowd to do the same. He assures them an extraordinary future is waiting ahead, and that the future is like a shining ray between all these disasters. As he ends the speech, everyone starts clapping. After some time, Chen enters her apartment with a bouquet she probably got at the ceremony. She takes off her shoes and enters, but upon checking her phone, realizes Ming has called her 6 times. She calls him back, and our hero picks up immediately. While blushing, she calls his name, and on the other side, he is blushing too. He tells her he is standing downstairs at her apartment and asks for permission to come up to meet her. She agrees immediately. Moving forward, Ming is standing near her door and then knocks. Within a few seconds, Luo Qian opens it, and her apartment is full of the fragrance of the flowers she brought earlier. As she opens the door, smiling at him, our protagonist gets very shy and starts clarifying that he was just meaning to check on her. While pointing at the sofa and asking him to take a seat, Chen explains she is feeling better now. Then she goes to the fridge, brings a cup of water, and offers it to our boy. As she sits on the sofa, she curiously asks whether he is that anonymous student everyone is talking about. As he drinks water, our protagonist denies it completely. She continues, saying that what she heard is that a lot of people saw him rushing into the spider nest, and in answer, he replies that at that time, he wasn't thinking straight, and as for the beast, he got nearly killed by it, but thanks to Instructor Zhu, he got there in time, and saved him. But it seems like Qian is not convinced by his answer, and says if she remembers correctly, then he is the one who saved her from the depth of the abyss. Yet our hero again denies it, saying her mind was under the control of the Calamity Beast, so she must have been seeing things at that time. In fact, he is just a trainee student who had a tough time even getting into Nando's special institution, so he is not capable of killing such a gigantic beast. All of a sudden, she moves toward him and kisses his cheek, saying she doesn't care about anything except the fact that he put his life in danger to save her, and she thanks him for that. After the kiss, both of them get super embarrassed, and Qian starts clarifying that she just wanted to thank him for saving her, nothing else. Meanwhile, on the training grounds, a girl is waiting for Ming, with whom she made a bet. But like every other Wednesday, he has not shown up this Wednesday either, so the girl is getting very angry at him. The man standing with her teases her, saying this is the first time she's ever been stood up by someone. In anger, she says she hates those who don't keep their promises, and that they still have to decide a winner between them. That man, while thinking, says it seems like today is the freshman award ceremony, and last week when these students went to Shaolin for training, they faced some strange difficulties there. The girl asks him, out of curiosity, if he knows any further information, and in response he says no one knows exactly what happened, but he was just wondering if that student might be one of those freshmen, and that this only explains the reason behind his disappearance for the last 2 weeks. Hearing this, the girl answers that it is completely impossible because that boy is too weak to be a part of this institution, and even if he really is, then she will do the seaweed dance at the center of the training grounds. The man laughs, saying she will lose the bet because that boy is definitely going to be one of those freshmen. Meanwhile, the girl, in anger, stomps her foot on the ground and says she will definitely find out about his whereabouts no matter what. The man suggests she should find another partner, despite the fact that the boy was an excellent sparring partner. As she walks out, she answers that she is not interested in doing so. Moving forward, our boy is now walking on the street with his hand on his cheek where Chien kissed him. Meanwhile, Chien, in her home, is still embarrassed about what she did earlier, but then she remembers they are already dating, so it's not as bad as she thinks it is. But on the other hand, he asks himself to stop thinking about her since he is mistaken that she has a boyfriend already, and it was just her way of thanking him. While walking through the training ground, he remembers the promise he made with that girl, and how they also promised to meet here every Wednesday. He then puts on a mask when he realizes today is Wednesday, which means he has to meet her today, and wonders if he is late or not. As he walks towards the ground, the girl calls for him from behind, saying she has been waiting for him for a while. Our protagonist apologizes for being late, and explains that he was in between attending the award ceremony. In shock, she asks if he is really a freshman, to which he replies yes. The man with Feng starts laughing since she has lost the bet between them, and now she has to dance in the middle of the training ground. In a fit of anger, she walks away. He asks if they are going to play today or not, but Feng yells that she is never going to see his face again. The man with her explains she thought he was older than her, which is why she played with him on the same level, but now she is angry after finding out he's 2 years below her. Since our hero doesn't know about her, he asks if she really is a junior. The man gets very shocked, and instead of answering, he questions if our boy really doesn't know her, to which he answers that he obviously doesn't know. The man says it amazes him that there is still someone in the institute who doesn't know about Feng Ling. The man then gives him his card, saying he can call him whenever he is at the training grounds because he wants him to be the sparring partner Feng needs right now, and also inquires about the charges for being her partner. He questions if $10 per minute sounds good to him, but since he is in shock, he could not answer, so the man misunderstands. Thinking that being such a good player, he must not be satisfied with the money, so he offers to pay $1,000 a day if he agrees to play with Feng once a week. Our boy immediately accepts the deal, and the man asks him to come to the training grounds again next week. Then the man goes away. Meanwhile, our hero is still trying to digest the situation, and as he realizes he's going to earn $1,000 a week, he gets very excited. At night, in the dorm, our protagonist is trying to control the Calamity Beast, but he is not succeeding. The goddess is also there, and she says, based on his human ranking system, he is still on the Moonglow rank. Our boy, while putting his body opposite to the wall to take a rest, agrees with the fact that he is not strong enough, and talks about how the skeleton dragon treated the Skull Widow like its food. Moreover, above that dragon was another monster, which blacked out the whole sky, and how the remains of its skin turned into the scorpion fly nests. As for the Widow Skull, he would have never succeeded in killing it if Chen had not already injured it, which means he is still far away from being strong, and he is not even worthy enough to be the food for these monsters. While thinking about the death of Ju Qi, he says he wants to become strong enough so he doesn't have to watch anyone die right in front of him ever again. The goddess explains that even though he is getting stronger day by day through training, there is still a limit after which a human's body can't grow. So right now, he needs the help of a supplement if he wants to break through that limit. He inquires about those supplements, so the goddess further explains she has been studying human technology, and what she found out is that humans are smart as they invent things out of all the creatures they kill, and out of them, Life Drop is the most powerful weapon humans have ever invented, which turns ordinary humans into superhumans, and because of it, they gain supernatural powers. While giving him the Life Drop he got earlier, she further explains low-quality Life Drops will not be meaningful to him. As he takes the Life Drop, Ming asks if she has purified it, and in reply she says yes, and explains, this is a Violet Soul grade Life Drop, and after purification, it has the ability to grant someone the supernatural power of disguise, which seems quite versatile to our hero, but doesn't seem quite suitable for someone like him who is going to be on the front lines. She agrees with him, and also tells him any power granted by the Life Drop will first need to be trained and get familiarized with. Our boy says that for the moment, his priority is to work on his current powers, and he still has yet to awaken his Red Sovereign talent too. The goddess replies that he hasn't even mastered the Violet Soul talent yet, so Red Sovereign talent is still a far dream for him. But she can't blame him for this since Violet Soul's ultimate soul art corresponds with the Sunblaze rank, and since he hasn't reached Sunblaze rank, being able to perform the ultimate soul art is already pretty good for him. He asks her for the method that can help him reach the Sunblaze rank quickly, so she answers, as she told him earlier, humanity has made a lot of things that can increase one's strength, and besides Life Drop, they also have a sort of liquid stardust, which is made out of the blood, bone marrow, and pulp of monsters, but he knew nothing about it until now. She explains it is because he is still a freshman. He agrees with her, saying there are a lot of things he doesn't know about, especially those related to spending money. She tells him that only rich people can buy it since it is pretty expensive, and in regard to its work, its effectiveness is proportional to a person's hard work. As for now, his body is not ready to take in a large amount of energy. Meanwhile, consuming protein, dairy, and shakes would be too slow. So as for now, liquid stardust is perfect for someone like him. Our boy gets very excited and says he is going to buy it and will soon reach Sunblaze rank. She suggests he should sell the Violet Soul Drop. Moving forward, our hero is sitting on his bed when he receives the call from Peng Lingwei. Our protagonist picks up Peng's call, saying he was just thinking about him because he wants to know the best place to sell valuable items. On the other side of the call, Peng answers that the easiest way is to go and sell at Hunter's Hall. While getting out of the car, he further advises him to make sure he gives the item to the female hunter there, as she will help him sell it. Putting on his coat, Ming further inquires how he can buy expensive items, and Peng again suggests the Hunter's Hall, even recommending that he hire a private hunter assistant, which will be helpful for him. Standing in front of the building, Peng waves at a girl inside while telling him that once his item goes on sale in Hunter's Hall, the private assistant will ensure it sells at a high price. After thinking for a while, our protagonist agrees to follow Peng's plan and invites him out for a drink, saying he is getting all his specially recruited classmates together. But Peng apologizes, explaining that he is busy and won't be able to attend the meetup. Instead, he offers his help whenever Ming needs it, since he knows many important people in Nandu. He thanks him for the help and ends the call. In the Hunter's Hall, the receptionists are complaining about not getting any big customers lately when he enters the building. The girls chat further about how all their deals so far have been too small. Even the profits aren't enough to pay their rent. When they see him enter the hall, they comment that it looks like a young hunter is coming toward them, but after seeing his trainee badge, they ignore him, saying being an assistant for these trainees is like doing charity work, and figure Zhang Go will handle him as usual. Zhang, who is standing a little away from the reception, walks over and introduces herself as Zhang, a hunter assistant. She seems very cheerful. She asks for his hunter code so she can assist him better. As he tells her the code, she types it into her pad, and while looking at his information, says it seems he is a trainee Moonglow hunter, but since his last bounty, he has actually become a qualified Moonglow hunter. Zhang asks if he'd like to increase his rank, which will let him take higher tier commissions and bounties, and our protagonist agrees. While putting his hand in his coat pocket, Ming clarifies he isn't here to take a commission, but for another purpose. Showing her the life drop, he says he wants to sell this Violet Soul Grade life drop. Zhang gets very excited seeing it and asks him how he can prove its authenticity. She inspects it closely and realizes it is indeed a real life drop. As soon as the other girls at the reception hear this, one rushes over and, shoving the other aside, introduces herself, declaring Zhang is new to the job and knows nothing, while she is a gold grade hunter assistant, and only a qualified professional like her can sell such a valuable item, so she asks him to give it to her. But instead, he puts it in Zhang's hand, saying he prefers to work with her. The other girl storms off, angry and jealous. Zhang thanks him for choosing her as his assistant, and while looking at the other girls, our boy replies that they ignored him when they saw he was just a trainee, which is why he chose her. Next, Jiang suggests they contact an appraiser who can help determine the life drop's capabilities, and after estimating its base price, she'll put it up at the Hunter's Hall auction. He also asks her to help him get liquid stardust. She inquires about the purity level he wants, which our protagonist doesn't know anything about, so she offers to take him to the VIP room to explain the details. After some time, Ming is sitting in the VIP room when the assistant reports that his life drop has already been appraised, and soon they will estimate its price, which he can adjust later if he's not satisfied. After offering him a drink and sitting across from him, she explains the details about the purity of liquid stardust. She tells him they've received a few batches recently, and the price is around 900,000. He is shocked to hear the price. She explains that the price of stardust is proportional to its purity, because the purity level determines how long the body will take to detoxify it. As it is extracted from monsters and calamities, even with current technology, they can't fully detoxify it, so it's not allowed to use too much stardust at once, or it will cause irreplaceable damage to the body. Our hero thinks to himself that he could never overdose on it since it's so expensive. Jane continues, saying that if he buys stardust with higher purity, his body will detoxify it faster. For high purity liquid stardust, the body of an average human takes around half a year to detoxify, which means he can use it at intervals of half a year. He is disappointed by the price, but she adds that if his body goes through high-intensity training, his metabolism will improve, decreasing the interval time. He asks her for details about low-purity stardust. Zhang explains that low-purity stardust takes 3 to 4 years to detoxify, and was sold for 400,000 last time, while the lowest purity liquid stardust costs 1 to 200,000 and takes over a decade to detoxify, with the risk of body damage. After hearing this, our protagonist decides his body isn't getting enough nutrients right now, so he should buy the highest purity to improve his strength, since every use of liquid stardust will increase his power. He decides to buy the highest purity stardust and asks her to reserve it for him. The assistant gives him her business card and tells him to contact her whenever he wants to buy something. As they're talking, someone enters the room and apologizes for the interruption. He is the appraiser who checked the item and, showing the life drop carefully placed in a box, explains that it is a top-tier item that can grant the superpower of disguise, suggesting a base price of 2 million. Hearing this, Ming becomes very happy. thinking that he's going to be rich. Jang asks whether he is satisfied with the price so they can proceed, and our protagonist agrees. Looking at her tablet, she explains that these transactions will raise his level, so if he completes them, he'll earn enough points to increase his rank, and once he takes the strength assessment, he'll reach the Sunblaze rank hunter. Our boy says that even though he hasn't reached that rank yet, it's just a matter of time. Zhang understands that this is why he wants the liquid stardust. He then asks her to send anyone willing to pay high commissions his way. The assistant replies that she will keep that in mind. Ming's school has reopened and it's his first day. He stands in front of the institute, reflecting on how much he has gone through in the past 2 weeks. And finally, he is back to his school life and normal daily routine. Attending school in the morning, getting combat weeks. And finally, he is back to his school life and normal daily routine. Attending school in the morning, getting combat training in the afternoon, and studying at night. Moving forward, our protagonist attends a lecture about calamities. Professor Feng is explaining the radiation emitted by calamity fragments, and how this radiation can alter the structure of certain minerals. He shows the class a wooden box, and explains that this radiation condenses ordinary black rock into a rare crystal for a short period of time. He opens the box and reveals a rare blue crystal rock, explaining that its toughness even surpasses that of steel. As Professor Feng continues to teach, our boy receives a text from Jiang. His life drop has sold for $3 million, and after keeping her 5% commission, she has transferred $2,850,000 to his account. Since he is sitting in class, he cannot celebrate publicly, but he is super excited inside at suddenly becoming rich. Professor Feng asks if there are any strength-type superhumans in class who can help with a demonstration. The class president raises her hand and points at him, explaining that he is a fist-type superhuman. The professor asks Ming to come up to the stage. The whole class starts cheering for him, since he has won an award before. When he reaches the stage, the professor gives him the crystal and asks him to use all his strength to crush it. He asks for clarification about really using all his strength, and the professor replies that he should not underestimate this small crystal's strength. The professor then turns to the students and says that 99% of them would not even be able to make a dent in the crystal, all while our hero is trying to crush it with all his might. Suddenly everyone is shocked. Professor Feng is still explaining how the ordinary rock, under this radiation, absorbs the surrounding elements and transforms into a mutated crystal, but then he turns around to thank him for the demonstration and discovers that he has already crushed it. He asks how he did it, and Ming replies that he used all his strength, just as the professor said. The professor can't believe a newcomer could do this, so he asks if he is actually a senior who sneaked into the class. The class president confirms Ming is really a new student, just like the rest of them. All the girls start fantasizing about him, while his roommate is jealous and claims the crystal must have been faulty. He places the crushed pieces back into the box, and the professor, a bit disappointed, says he should have brought a higher grade crystal. As he walks back to his seat, Professor Feng explains that the crystal they just saw is a high quality material and tells everyone to keep any they find in the future because it will be useful. Our boy sits down and suddenly notices his arm reacting. The mutated crystal has made his mystic fist respond and has now fused with his fist. After some time, class is dismissed and the students leave, making plans and talking about him. Only Ming remains in the class with the professor. He approaches him, saying he wants to know more about mutated crystals. When the professor agrees, he shows him his arm, where the crystal has been fully absorbed. He explains that this happened when he touched the mutated crystal. Professor Feng asks about his talent, and he says it is Mystic Fist, which allows him to absorb mediums and unleash other attributes with his Spirit Fist. After hearing this, Professor Feng realizes this is why his body reacted, which is only natural. However, our hero adds that such a small rock shouldn't have caused such a big reaction. Professor Feng becomes annoyed and realizes he wasn't paying full attention in class because he already explained this point. He repeats that the Mystic Fist's reaction is connected to the density of the medium, not the volume. Picking up his book and the wooden box, the professor asks him to come to the laboratory, where there are higher grade mutated crystals, so they can do an experiment there. Ming asks Professor Feng if he is wasting his time since class has ended already. The professor turns to him and asks if he still considers him his professor outside of class. He immediately replies yes. The professor says that since he is always his professor, it is his duty to help solve any difficulty he has, regardless of time or place. Hearing this, our protagonist is very happy and thanks the professor twice. They enter the laboratory, which is full of different calamity fragments and chemicals. As he approaches the fragments, the mutated stones absorbed on his arm start to react, so Professor Feng gives him insulated gloves to wear. The professor then says his talent seems quite high ranked, and asks if he is a Red Sovereign Grader. Ming is visibly shocked and asks how the professor knows. Professor Feng responds that he has a sharp eye and that's exactly why he teaches superhumans. Our boy compliments the professor on his excellence. Feng further says he can tell he is far from mastering his superpower, just by noticing how his arm involuntarily reacted to the mutated crystals when he entered the room. He replies that he is still new to his superpower, as he hasn't had it for long. Our hero then asks the professor to teach him. At first, Professor Feng falls silent, but then he starts to reiterate Ming's talent and its capabilities. He explains that his skill allows him to absorb a specific substance, and then unleash a mystic fist attack that carries the same properties as that substance. All our protagonist needs to do is touch the material, which has already been demonstrated earlier when he walked into the laboratory, and his arms reacted to the environment. Professor Feng points out that his true power is not just that his hands absorb whatever they touch, but that they actually respond to every single thing around him. Our boy looks at his hands and suggests that maybe the higher the concentration of a medium, the stronger the reaction it produces, a detail he has never noticed before. The professor continues, explaining that if he absorbs a greater quantity of a medium, its purity increases, which in turn allows him to exert even stronger power. But before he can enhance his spiritual abilities, the first thing Ming must learn is how to resist absorbing mediums. To demonstrate, Feng asks him to remove his gloves and try to absorb the frost crystal without actually touching it. Our hero takes off his gloves and says he will give it a try. As his hand approaches the frost crystal, it begins to absorb into his hand. Not only that one, but all the other fragments in the laboratory start getting drawn into his hand as well. At this, Feng tells him that he is still at the lowest level of mastering his spiritual skills, meaning that right now, his spirit fist is basically useless. In addition, his fighting style is very weak in the sense that he must physically touch a medium in order to absorb it. The professor then gives him an example. What if he wants to use a flaming fist, but the flame is 100 meters away? And what if his opponent blocks his path to the flame, knowing his ability? Hearing this, Ming realizes there have been times when he couldn't use any medium because of distance. After thinking about it for a moment, he admits this would be a huge problem. Moving on, Feng then tells him to touch the crystal directly with his hands to see what happens. After a while, Feng suggests they stop and go to the testing ground so Ming can try throwing a few punches. As they walk out, the professor mentions that there is still a heap of debris left from previous tests, but tells him not to worry about it. Pointing to the arena, Feng asks him to send a punch towards it, using all his strength. Our protagonist gets into position right away and prepares to throw his super fist. As he launches his roaring ice punch, huge crystals form on both sides along the path of his punch. Both of them are utterly shocked by the sight. Feng thinks this skill is extremely unusual. Our boy turns to the professor, excited, and says this is the first time his spirit fist has ever been so powerful. Professor Feng concludes that his powers are related to the concentration of the medium. He explains that the crystal he saw in the classroom was only a flicker-grade metamorphic crystal, while the frost crystal Ming touched in the lab is a dazzling-grade metamorphic crystal. Looking at his fist, our hero says he feels invincible and marvels at how such a small piece of crystal could be this powerful. Professor Feng laughs and tells him this isn't some ordinary Chinese cabbage that you can find anywhere. He asks where he can buy these kinds of crystals. Feng answers that low-level crystals can be found for sale, but their quality is very poor. As for high-level crystals, it's unlikely that he will ever see them on the market because most owners keep them as treasured possessions. The frost crystal in their school, for example, was donated by a social organization. Our protagonist wonders aloud what would happen if he prepared isomorphic mediums on his body, so that during battle, he could crush and absorb them to unleash a spirit fist several times more powerful than normal. Professor Feng agrees with the strategy, but adds that Ming should also seek some external support to boost his combat strength further. Right now, however, there is one problem. And when he asks what it is, Professor Feng responds that these crystals are far too expensive to buy, and for that, he would need a great deal of money. Not only is the dazzling-grade frost crystal the most costly, but even flicker-grade isomorphs are several times more expensive than diamonds. Hearing this, our boy feels disappointed, realizing that even though he thought he was rich now, it's still not enough. The professor places his hand on his shoulder and encourages him to keep working hard and improving his abilities. Maybe then, in the future, he'll have the chance to obtain 2 crystals to use. Meanwhile, he reflects that it's always the poor who have to work the hardest, while the wealthy rely on technology. Feng praises his skills and suggests they should focus on developing his medium perception first. Once Ming masters this, he'll be able to use everything around him to become stronger and even create powerful weapons. He asks about perception, and Professor Feng explains, it's about seeing, feeling, and smelling things, letting his skin sense everything mixed in the air. Right now, our hero only trusts what he can see with his eyes, but human vision is very limited. That's why people can't see the mediums and other elements that are truly present. The skin detects temperature, the nose picks up dust in the wind, and the ears hear all kinds of sounds, like running water. The hands can feel the wind on them. Therefore, Ming's top priority should be practicing with all 5 senses, paying close attention to the smallest things, and not letting only his eyes decide what he perceives. Our boy closes his eyes and asks if he should train himself this way. Professor Feng steps inside, saying he has a few more crystals. After a while, he returns with several crystals, a dim grade, a flicker grade, and a dazzling grade, and gives them to him, telling him to practice identifying their grades for now. He looks at the crystals and remarks that they all look the same to him. Professor Feng replies that this is his very first challenge, to work on his perception and not just rely on his eyes. With this practice, Ming will not only become comfortable in different environments, but will also be able to quickly identify which mediums are most useful to him. Our protagonist becomes excited, promising to make good use of his talent and to forge many powerful weapons. Feng explains that once he's perfected perception, the next skill to work on will be absorption. Absorption won't just mean touching the crystals, it will mean drawing in mediums from hundreds or even thousands of meters away. Our hero is stunned by the idea that he might be able to absorb mediums from such distances. Professor Feng tells him not to underestimate himself or his abilities, because one day he'll be able to absorb even lightning that strikes down on him, and everyone will cheer for him. For now, Ming's only priority is to keep practicing his skills. Ming promises himself that he's going to work hard because he hates feeling small, unimportant, or powerless. Right now, he isn't strong, but he is determined to become much stronger in the future. Later, our protagonist sits on the rooftop of his dorm, with the 3 crystals placed in front of him. Even so, he still can't find any difference between them, which tells him he isn't concentrating enough. He shifts his focus, looking at the crystals more intently, and soon manages to distinguish between them. Then, our boy closes his eyes to sense all the mediums around him. He realizes the area isn't very windy, so if he absorbs the air, he'll only be at the level of a dim-grade crystal. Expanding his perception further, he notices the air coming from one direction is more humid, which means there's a river nearby, and absorbing that will bring him up to the level of a bright-grade crystal. Realizing his perception is working, our hero is thrilled. He understands that in the future, he won't have to search for mediums to absorb. As he's thinking about this, Zhang, his hunter assistant, calls his name. Looking down, he asks what she's doing there. She shows him a bag and replies she's here to deliver the items he requested. At her words, Ming jumps down from the building. Some boys watching from the dorm windows comment that even though he has Luo Qian, he's still meeting with other beautiful girls, and they seem jealous of him. Zhang takes out a box and explains that he was lucky. She found some high-quality stardust at a bargain because the seller was in a hurry for cash and decided not to auction it, letting it go for 850,000 yuan. She thought of him and bought it for him. Our protagonist thanks her gratefully. Zhang adds that she was surprised to learn he's a student at the Superhuman Institute. When she got his address, she thought it might be a mistake. He asks her not to tell anyone, as he wants to keep it secret. Zhang assures him that it's their top priority to keep client information confidential. She then asks if he needs anything else. Ming tells her he's looking to buy crystals with the properties of fire, ice, rock, copper, and iron, and asks her to look for them. He also requests updates on any new quests or bounties in the Hunter's Hall. Jing notes it all down and promises to keep him informed. Looking at the liquid stardust, our hero says his physical strength is about to rise to the corona grade, which would be incredible for him. Later, while sitting in a forest with the stardust in his hand, he drinks it. For a moment, his heartbeat speeds up. He feels extremely hot, and the veins all over his body become visible. After a few minutes, his body returns to normal, evidence that the upgrade has worked and his strength has reached the corona grade. He gets up and starts walking. Soon he receives a call from Uncle Yuan, the manager of Feng Ling. Our boy answers and asks if Yuan wants him to come spar with Feng, saying he's ready. On the other end, Yuan, with a sly smile, asks him to go all out, even to use his spiritual magic. He's shocked, warning that it could be very dangerous, but Yuan offers to double the payment. Since our hero needs the money, he agrees. Meanwhile, at the training grounds, Feng is stretching, preparing for the match. She says that since spiritual skills are allowed, she will definitely win this time. Yuan warns her not to get too cocky, mentioning she's already lost twice to Ming, and that she also owes a seaweed dance in the center of the training ground from their last bet. Feng tries to cover it up, making excuses that she wasn't at her best before, but insists he has no chance now because her spiritual skills are superior to most. Yuan turns to greet our protagonist, who is arriving, and waves, saying only time will tell who will win today. Feng eyes him and thinks he's mysterious since he always wears a mask, but this time, she's determined to make him lose. Soon, both of them stand face to face on the training grounds, and our boy challenges her to attack him first. The battle officially begins as Feng makes the first move. Ming immediately realizes she's starting with a powerful attack. She launches a series of fire strikes at him, sending him to the ground. Feng wastes no time and attacks again, teasing that he doesn't seem focused on the fight. The heat from her fire attack even burns through her rubber band, and her hair falls loose from her ponytail. Still on the ground after her last attack, our boy hears Feng laugh and mock that he won't even last a few minutes against her. A crowd starts to gather to watch the battle, and everyone praises Feng for displaying her Phoenix martial arts Saintess skill. Some comment that her sparring opponent is bound to lose soon, as he's already on the ground after just 2 attacks. When someone else squeezes into the crowd to see what's happening, a boy tells him he's just missed Feng's legendary move. Our protagonist stands up, brushes the dust from his hands and clothes, and admits this is one of the best superpowers he's ever seen. The attacks are truly fierce. He thinks to himself that if he were still as weak as he used to be, he wouldn't have survived these 2 blows. But right now, our hero is overflowing with energy, having just reached Sunblaze rank, and it feels like a heavenly catharsis to him. Now he's ready to fight back. Suddenly, he rushes toward Feng and lands a punch with his mystic fist, warning her to be careful. The punch sends her flying back. She quickly retaliates, shoving him with her hand and sending him skidding back, but he manages to stay on his feet. He knows he should be on the offensive, but if he takes another direct hit from that scorching blast, his arms might not withstand it. Feng taunts that all he's good for is being a punching bag. Sure, he can take her hits, but that's all. Even Ming realizes he can't win at this pace, so he decides to use his dim-grade skill. Knowing fire is the source of Feng's strength in Phoenix martial arts, he touches the ground and absorbs mud as a medium to help protect himself from the flames. She attacks again, but this time our boy blocks her attack with his arms as a shield. Still, his jacket catches fire and burns. He realizes that even though it's just a spiritual skill, it's more dangerous than any he's faced before. The crowd is shocked by the escalating intensity of the fight. Ming thinks that even after absorbing the unevenly mixed cement from the ground, it won't help much against her attacks. It really looks like he's going to lose. As she prepares to attack again, she tells him he should admit defeat. But instead of giving up, our protagonist raises his arm in defense and insists he hasn't lost yet, so he won't surrender. Feng believes it's just a regular spar and doesn't want to push him so hard that he ends up in the infirmary. She doesn't want to win that way. But our hero provokes her, saying she looks out of breath. This makes her furious. She questions how he can talk like that when he can barely stand against her powers. Still, Feng admits that only a handful of people have lasted this long against her, so Ming must be pretty strong. But he insists on trying one more time. He begins to focus and sense everything around him. He is now feeling the stone beneath his feet, sensing the wind blowing from the south, and noticing the moist air coming from the trees, which tells him that there must be a lake nearby, rich in water mediums. Ming realizes that if he leaves the training grounds at this moment, people will call him a loser. So our protagonist decides he must use the method Professor Feng has taught him. He starts to focus, trying to reject all unnecessary mediums, wind, wood, and soil, because right now, the only medium he needs is water. While he's still working on this, she suddenly attacks again, saying she wants to finish the match quickly. However, just as she reaches him, his perception technique activates, and he manages to draw water as his medium. The power of water overwhelms the fire, and not only Feng but the entire crowd gets soaked. People begin running around, confused, and trying to understand what kind of power he just used. To them, it looks like some sort of forbidden ability, but all they see is a blue light, so they know both fighters are still using their spiritual skills. Someone in the crowd shouts that if such a spiritual power really exists, he's going to drink water from the lake. Our hero, now filled with energy and feeling stronger than ever, realizes that this must be what the extraordinary talent of a red sovereign feels like. Water is now draining away through the outlets in the ground, while Feng lies on the ground, apparently unconscious. Ming rushes over to her and starts pumping her chest, trying to get the water out because he thinks she might have drowned. At that moment, Yuan appears from behind and suggests that he should perform CPR instead. Our boy hesitates, saying it feels weird, but Yuan urges him to hurry, insisting that it will be too late otherwise. Since all of this happened because of him, he takes off his mask and leans in to give her CPR. Right then, Feng wakes up, and while putting her hand on his face, she tells him that he doesn't need to do that, as she is not as weak as others. He puts his mask back on and expresses his relief that she is okay. However, Yuan is disappointed that Ming was so close to kissing Feng, but didn't. Feng seems sad and admits her defeat. Our protagonist, on the other hand, denies there is any winner or loser between them, saying that both are learning from each other and pointing out that she is really strong. He adds that thanks to this fight, he was able to discover the true extent of his abilities, which he never knew before. As Feng gets up, she says there is no need for him to say anything, because for her, a win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Ming reaches out his hand to her, saying it's an honor to fight with her. While they shake hands, Feng offers to challenge him using soul arts next time. Yuan, however, immediately suggests they shouldn't do that because with their levels of strength, a soul art battle could be fatal for both of them, as soul arts are meant for beasts, not humans. Our hero agrees with Uncle Yuan's warning. Then he asks to leave, saying he has some other matters to take care of, and that he'll see them next time. While some boys fantasize about Feng Ling as she stands there drying off in front of them, Uncle Yuan throws a towel over her and says she's wet, so it's better for them to leave for now. Now Yuan drives the car while Feng sits in the back seat drying her hair. She declares that she won't lose to Ming next time. Uncle Yuan explains that this university is a place full of talented individuals, and those who can stand out in battle always become widely known. He says that's how someone becomes the man of the school, just like her. But today our boy pushed her to her limits. Feng adds that he seems like a very mysterious person, and she can't figure out his reasons for acting the way he does. Uncle Yuan thinks about it and concludes that Ming wears a mask because he doesn't want people to know his true identity or strength. Eventually he believes our protagonist will come forward because no one can resist the temptation of fame forever. But Feng disagrees, saying that's just a myth. Suddenly Yuan starts telling her about an award ceremony where they honored someone who played a key role in the Shaoling disaster, yet that person never revealed his name. Feng snaps at him, telling him not to suggest that Ming is that person. Wen continues, saying that even though he's only a freshman, his abilities are stronger than any of his classmates. Yuan advises that they should keep his information private and find a more secure place for their next match. Teasing her, he asks if she managed to see Ming's face, but she replies no in annoyance. Yuan keeps teasing, saying that even though they fought so intensely, she can't deny that he's handsome. Annoyed, Feng yells that even though she was unconscious, she could still hear them, and that Yuan was the one who made him do CPR. Yan laughs and says the only reason he did that was because he wanted to see if Ming was really her type. Feng gets angry and yells that Yuan should start sweeping the streets from now on, but Yuan immediately apologizes to her. Ming is back in the hunter's hall and Jiang welcomes him warmly. After a while, she places a box in front of him as he sits on the sofa. She tells him that this is what he requested before. When our protagonist opens the box, he finds a dazzling grade frost variation crystal inside. Jiang asks if he's satisfied with it. Our boy is delighted and thanks her, clearly very happy with the item. Looking at the box, he thinks to himself that now he won't feel powerless anymore, even against enemies at a higher level than him. Jiang explains that its price is $1 million, and they will use the funds he has stored up in the hall. He's so stunned by the price that he can't even speak. Seeing his reaction, Jiang tells him that this item is extremely rare. She even traveled to Beidou just to get it. Our hero thanks her again and asks her to keep looking for other isomorphic crystals as well. Then, he remembers the main reason he came. He got a message from Jiang about something important. He asks her what it is. Jiang takes out a badge and some certifications from her bag, congratulating him on becoming a certified Corona-grade hunter. He takes them from her, expressing his gratitude once more. Jiang continues, telling him that he now has new privileges, and his information will soon be registered under the Hunter's Hall, making him eligible for the Hunter's Conference. He can even request assistance from the Hunter's Hall. Looking out the window, our boy notices his roommate arguing with the receptionist. Jiang asks if he knows him, and explains that the boy came to claim a bounty before he arrived, but since he isn't a qualified hunter, the Nandu employees refuse to hire him. Ming says he's only interested in one thing, and asks her about the commission for gathering information. Smiling, she tells him there's no commission, meaning he'll get it for free, which he finds puzzling. Jiang elaborates that he must not have paid attention to the privileges of being Corona grade. To promote low-level hunters, advanced hunters must recommend them with seals. She explains that he can exchange his points for 4 recommendation seals. Clients also look for seals from advanced hunters before choosing whom to hire. He finally understands. Jiang adds that as an advanced hunter, he can assign minor tasks to lower-level hunters and focus on more important jobs himself. Low-level hunters, eager to receive a seal, are willing to do any tasks since they lack fame and recommendations and can't get high-paying bounties. Hearing this, our hero agrees to hire his roommate, but asks Jiang to keep his identity hidden, as he doesn't want the other boy to know he's working for him. She opens her tablet and asks what tasks he wants to assign so she can prepare an agreement with a seal of recommendation as the reward. Ming's roommate, walking toward the exit in disappointment, is stopped by Jiang, who explains everything. Excited, he becomes ecstatic at the news that the person offering the job is a Corona-grade hunter. He bows to Jiang in gratitude and leaves the building, promising himself that he'll work hard to satisfy the senior hunter, hoping for good tasks in the future. Meanwhile, our protagonist, standing behind him and hearing all this, thinks to himself that being rich is truly a good feeling, and it made reaching the Corona hunter grade much easier. Now he can even have others run errands for him. However, reality quickly sets in when he remembers that he just spent $1 million, which could have bought him a decent apartment in Lanyang City. He starts to cry, thinking it's just too much money, and now he needs to find new ways to make money so he can buy a house. But when he looks at the box in his pocket, our boy reassures himself that the expense is worth it. Now he can hunt monsters easily with this crystal. With his grade increase, his medium absorbing ability has grown as well. Suddenly his phone rings. It's his big sister calling. He answers, asking why she's calling so early. On the other end, his sister is walking with a suitcase and asks him to guess where she is right now. Our hero thinks for a moment and guesses she's in the park. This annoys her, and she complains that he never pays attention to her life. She's told him already that she's self-studying. He jokes that she was self-studying before too. She's now on a bus, putting her luggage above her seat, and explains that she couldn't keep up with self-study because she had to take care of him, but she doesn't want to work part-time forever, so she's returning to her own path. Ming proudly tells her she never needs to work part-time again because he can support her, and asks if she got the money he sent. Sitting down, his sister tells him to keep his money for himself since the Superhuman Institute is expensive, and she has her own hands and feet to provide for herself. She reveals that she has an interview with the astronomy team in Nandu, which means she could soon have a decent job. Our protagonist is shocked, amazed that the astronomy team might actually hire his sister. She clarifies that the position is temporary, but it's still a great opportunity, and she can save money so he can buy good equipment for himself. On his end, our boy compliments her for earning such an opportunity on her own. She then asks him to pick her up when she arrives. After the call, he checks the time and feels proud of his sister, admiring how smart she is. He remembers when she gave up her dreams for his sake, but now he doesn't have to hide his efforts from her anymore, nor live with that regret. He can take her out for dinners whenever he wants. Some time passes, and now Ming is standing at the station, waiting for his sister. When she gets off the train, she runs toward him, calling his name. After they reunite, our hero praises her for all her hard work and promises to show her around Nandu. She smiles, saying she wants to see the city as well. Later, he drives while his sister looks out the window, enjoying the city. They spend the entire day together, creating funny memories, having dinner at a restaurant, and even going seasighting. By late night, both arrive at the hotel, collapse on the bed from exhaustion, and are visibly happy. His sister says she likes Nandu so much that she's determined to work hard and buy a house here. Ming tells her that a big house costs around 1 to 2 million in the city. At first, she's shocked, but then she gets up, determined to work even harder, or maybe even marry someone who owns a big house. The next day, both get ready and head to the astronomy team for her interview. As they arrive at the Nandu team building, security checks them at the entrance. An assistant approaches Chin Yu, confirming her identity before asking her to follow. Just as Chin Yu is about to leave, Ming wishes her good luck. Our protagonist looks around and quickly notices the tight security, which is expected for the astronomy team. This team observes the stars and their movements, providing crucial warnings to superhumans worldwide about impending disasters. Their constant vigilance, even over minor changes in space, makes them like humanity's watchful eyes. The fact that his sister secured a position here, even if the role seems minor, impresses our hero. Lost in thought, Ming is startled when someone descends the stairs. The security guard at the bottom salutes, but the newcomer quietly tells him to remain silent. He then approaches our boy, sits on the sofa across from him with an adult magazine in hand, and grumbles about how complex algorithms give him headaches. Ming's attention shifts to him, and he soon recognizes the man as Dr. Wu, someone he's seen in textbooks. Dr. Wu peers at Ming over his glasses and asks if it's his first day. Ming explains he's only accompanying his sister for her interview, clearing up any confusion. Wu admits he was surprised to see such a young face in the astronomy team. Suddenly, our protagonist jumps up and asks if he is Dr. Wu Long. Wu playfully tells him to guess, but Ming says he's certain, having read extensively about him. Dr. Wu smiles, curious about what the textbooks say. Ming replies that Wu Long is praised for discovering the extraordinary rainbow medium, which, through astronomical observation, helps determine the strength of beasts. This discovery greatly empowered the organization. Hearing this makes Dr. Wu happy. Wu Long asks if our hero wants a photo with him, and Ming enthusiastically agrees. After they take the picture, Wu resumes reading his magazine and jokes that Ming can now boast to his friends, but warns him not to disturb his peace again. Yet, curiosity gets the better of our boy, who asks about the magazine. Wu, a bit annoyed, explains that magazines are books too and urges him to stop bothering him. Embarrassed, Ming tries to explain that his friends also enjoy such shows. At that moment, a female assistant approaches. She scolds Dr. Wu for disappearing when there's still work to do. He claims he's just trying to refresh his ideas, but she eyes his magazine and suggests he prioritize work over hobbies. Wu repeats his earlier point. There are no rainbow medium fragments in the Lanyang City disaster, so there shouldn't be any undetected catastrophic forces on Earth. The whole time, he keeps the magazine over his face. The assistant insists he double-check, just to be safe. With no option left, Dr. Wu stands, tosses the magazine to our protagonist, saying throwing it away would be a shame, and leaves with the assistant. Ming thanks him for the magazine and watches them go. Soon after, Qin Yu bursts out, excitedly sharing that she landed a 3-month trial position. Ming congratulates her. She notices the magazine in his hand and teases him about his reading choices. As Ming tries to explain that Dr. Wu gave it to him, his sister laughs, doubting that such a scholar would read those magazines, and jokes that Ming hasn't changed. While our boy is still trying to clarify, Qin Yu heads to her new apartment, settles in, and celebrates getting her dream job along with a lovely little house. Ming, looking out at the garden, suggests she could grow plenty of jasmine flowers, her favorite. Qin Yu mentions spotting a flower shop nearby and invites our hero to join her in buying some flowers. Both are excited about the outing. However, as they head out, Ming receives a call from an unknown number. The caller asks if he is Ming He, then requests privacy for their conversation. Ming tells his sister to go ahead without him as he handles the important call. Stepping onto the balcony, our protagonist is asked if he's a Dragon Tooth member. Once confirmed, the caller introduces himself as Instructor Luo, a subordinate of Ju Qi, sent by Luo Lin. Instructor Luo explains that Luo Lin has recommended Ming for Ju Qi's position, officially inviting him to join the Dragon Tooth group as its new wanderer. Luo tells him that tracking enemies has proven harder than expected, and it seems their members' information has been leaked. To address this, they are forming a new department called Wanderer, whose members, like blood sharks in murky waters, are tasked with finding subordinates of the universe's heavenly sovereignty. Ming asks if they have any leads. The instructor reveals that Zhao Shuhua once bought medical equipment from the black market in his youth, likely encountering someone from the universe's heavenly sovereignty there. Dr. Zhao acquired this equipment specifically to extract beast blood. Luo suggests Ming visit the black market, as his young appearance will help him go unnoticed. The instructor urges our hero to keep Luo Lin informed about any hideouts he discovers, so reinforcements can be sent if needed. Later, our protagonist stands outside the black market, reflecting on how different it looks compared to those in shows. It's hidden in palace-like buildings rather than dark alleys. As he enters, Ming immediately notices 4 individuals who seem quite extraordinary. As Ming tries to enter the building, a woman stops. Ming immediately notices 4 individuals who seem quite extraordinary. As Ming tries to enter the building, a woman stops him and asks if he has an appointment. Smiling, Ming insists his girlfriend is unattractive and that he was advised to come for plastic surgery. He explains that he doesn't know the price and wanted to ask in person. The woman directs our protagonist to take the lift to the 3rd floor lobby's customer service desk, warning that the other floors are for the hospital's surgery area and suggesting he avoid wandering elsewhere. Our boy takes the lift and arrives on the 3rd floor, where a man approaches him. Sales manager Jung Tung greets him and asks if Ming needs assistance. Tang inquires whether our hero is interested in buying their longevity product or learning about their biochemical beauty techniques. When Ming looks puzzled about the longevity health product, Tang assumes he must be shopping for his parents. He assures Ming that everyone is initially suspicious, but after seeing their product demonstrations, doubts disappear. Amazed, our protagonist asks if it's really possible to make a longevity product and calls it magical. Tang replies that they only produce revolutionary items. Hearing this, Ming requests to see the production area, saying that if the product is truly effective, he'll keep some for himself as well. Tang approaches Ming, offering to take him to the production room so he can see everything firsthand. They head toward the lift, guarded by security. Before entering, Tang narrows his eyes and asks who suggested our boy come to the facility. He explains that most customers are either longtime clients or receive recommendations from regulars. As the guards move closer, Ming states he heard about the quality products. Tang smiles awkwardly, pressing for a specific name. Otherwise, he says it will be difficult to go to the upper floors. He warns that without this, they'll need to verify Ming's identity. A few guards surround our hero, prompting him to comment on their caution. He realizes these questions only arise after reaching this point, recognizing the trap for those who come to investigate. Ming confirms if naming a regular customer will satisfy them. Tang nods, stating he's willing to help if our protagonist genuinely wants to learn more, but presentations are necessary to ensure no one intends to steal their techniques. Surrounded by guards, Ming casually states that Sister Hu recommended him. Tang's expression brightens, and he says that if that's the case, Ming is now considered a small VIP customer. Reaching for the lift button, Tang promises to show our boy the production base. They arrive on the 22nd floor, and as they walk together, Tang explains that the world knows Scrounge's blood mutates animals, but few realize it can also affect plants. Soon, they enter a room where plants are being mutated, with several people working on them. Something catches Ming's attention: human-made sun lamps and an automatic liquid spreading machine.